best content from the past. All available right now when you go to youtube.com/@BustedOpenPodcast. Subscribe right now.
The battle for European soccer supremacy has reached the knockout stage, and all the drama of the Euros is on Sirius XM.
Oh my goodness, what a story!
Every match is now win or go home, and they can all be heard on Fox Sports Channel 83.
That is sensational!
Before and after the matches, hear what the experts are saying on Sirius XM FC 157.
They are proven winners right now.
No one is covering Euro 2024 like Sirius XM. Listen in the car or on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Experience AMI at AMIplus.ca.
This slams the ball to right field, way back, way gone! Is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Low rounding and heading for second to throw. In time!
On the Sportsnet Radio Network.
After walking into Arizona on a 2-game win streak, the Jays got bit by the Diamondbacks in Game 1 as Toronto coughed up a 4-2 lead by giving up 3 runs in the 8th and 9th innings, combined en route to a 5-4 loss. Thus, it's time for a Blue Jays bounce back on a Saturday night in Phoenix. Welcome, everybody, to the Sportsnet Radio Network. Eric Smith and Madison Shipman with you, alongside host Show Ali, producer Mike Jose Collins, and technical director Tom Young. Toronto Blue Jays baseball is brought to you by the local family-owned Crown Rust Control Centers in Halifax and Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Protect your vehicle from rust today. Find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com, Canada's #1 rust protection. Jose Berrios takes to the mound tonight for Toronto, sporting an 8-6 record with 87 strikeouts on the season. His counterpart, 23-year-old Yilber Diaz, making his second career start. It's the Diamondbacks and Jays. The first pitch is right around the corner. You're listening to Blue Jays baseball, streaming on the Sportsnet app, sportsnet.ca, and across the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between pizza and inflation. First to the plate, with over 2 million sold, it's Fixed Rate Pizza, a hot and fresh extra-large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for Fixed Rate Pizza. Lock in yours today.
Pizza.ca. Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's building center. Visit timbermart.ca.
Embrace the power. That is bold. And speed of the NTT IndyCar Series on Sirius XM.
Go quick, you got it! Wins the Indy 500!
The season rolls on with a doubleheader in Iowa. Saturday night under the lights at 8 Eastern and Sunday at noon.
Nice job.
From the green to the checkers.
Flies under the twin checkers.
Hear every thrilling lap live on IndyCar Nation Channel 218, NBC Sports Audio Channel 85.
Alex Palou! Thank you so much!
And on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Good to see you guys back at training camp.
The 2024 NFL Radio Training Camp Tour is coming right here on Channel 88 and the all-new Sirius XM app.
Work.
I mean, I think just, putting the ball in play a little bit more, hitting the ball a little harder, pulling the ball a little bit more. I think it's, again, Dalton's, better than what his numbers are showing and what they have showed over the past month or so. And, as long as he's swinging at the right pitch, I think he'll be all right. And I think he's on the right track to doing that. Yeah, Varsh is, everyone's favorite, it seems like, whether it's in our clubhouse or over there in Arizona. he was kind of the hero there for a little bit. Leadoff triple, scores a run. I was expecting him to make that catch in the 8th inning because he catches everything, but awesome for him to come back and do well.
That's the voice of Blue Jay manager John Schneider talking about Dalton Varsho, and you heard right towards the end there mentioning the triple that Varsho hit. There were 2 triples last night, one from Springer, one from Varsho. It looked like the Blue Jays were getting things going, Madison, late in the ball game, but as I mentioned in the intro, they coughed up the lead late and ultimately lost the first one against the D-backs, last night.
Yeah, that was definitely a tough one, especially with all the walks that the bullpen ended up giving up in the 8th and the 9th innings. But I thought it was interesting hearing from John Schneider talking about Dalton Varsho and about him going after those pitches on the inside part of the plate. And I did feel like at times, not just last night, but even the games prior, that there were some pitches that maybe he could have gotten a hold of, but maybe he's thinking drive the ball the opposite direction. But I like that they're trying to get that power back into Varsho's swing by having him go after those pitches, maybe on the low and inside part of the plate, try to drive the ball out of the ballpark.
We'll have the first pitch coming up in about 5 minutes' time, but for more on this ball game, including the starting lineups, let's go back to baseball control with Show Ali.
Thank you very much, Eric and Madison. Welcome back inside Baseball Control, everyone. Before we check out those lineups, let's get to the Bet365 standings update. At Bet365, you can watch thousands of live games, build your own bet, and you can even make a bet while the game is still being played. 19 plus, play responsibly. Ontario only. We have a late game tonight, so in the AL East, lots of games this evening across Major League Baseball as well, already in the book. So with today's games, the Blue Jays Diamondbacks game notwithstanding, here's the AL East standings. The Orioles are 57-38. The Yankees are 58-39. They're playing each other. The Yankees tied in terms of games, but winning percentage-wise, they are trailing the O's by fractions of a decimal point. In third place, the Red Sox are 52-42. The Rays are 47-48, and the Blue Jays are 43-51. Before we send you back to Eric Smith and Madison Shipman as the Star Wars music plays at Chase Field, let's get to those lineups. Here's John Schneider's. George Springer is batting leadoff. He is in right field. Spencer Horwitz is batting second at second base. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is batting third. He is at first base. Justin Turner is batting cleanup. He is DHing. Dalton Varsho batting fifth in center field. Alejandro Kirk is behind the dish. He is batting sixth. Batting seventh is David Schneider. He's in left field. At third base, batting eighth is Ernie Clement. And Leo Jimenez is batting ninth. He is at shortstop. Jose Berrios pitches for Toronto in his final start before the All-Star break. For Arizona, Corbin Carroll is batting leadoff. He is in right field. Ketel Marte, who's headed to Texas as an All-Star, he is batting second at second base. Jock Peterson is batting third. He is DHing. Christian Walker is batting cleanup at first base. Our old pal Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is in left field. He is batting fifth. Geraldo Perdomo, who won the game last night with the walk-off RBI sac fly, he is batting sixth. He is at shortstop. Eugenio Suarez is batting seventh. He is at third base. Alec Thomas, he of the two-run double yesterday off Trevor Richards late in that game. He is batting eighth in center field. And Jose Herrera is catching. He is batting ninth. Herrera is catching for Gilbert Diaz, who makes his second career start ever for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Quick check of the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. At Copa America in the third place match, Canada was leading 2-1 in injury time, but Uruguay, led by Luis Suarez, equalized with a couple minutes to go, and just a couple minutes ago, just won 4-3 on penalties. So Canada's Copa America officially over, though certainly a very impressive result from the Canadian side throughout the tournament. Don't forget, we do have Jays talk tonight, so I will stick around, take your calls, take your texts. I'll throw out the number to call after the final out, and you can text me as well. 590-590, name and location. The People's text line is always open. Standard message and data rates may apply. All right, we're a couple minutes away from first pitch at Chase Field. Let's get you over to the action with the call of tonight's game. Here's Eric Smith and Madison Shipman.
All right, thanks very much, Show. It is Star Wars night in Arizona, as Show was just mentioning, and we just got a brief little glimpse of some of the stuff that's going on inside the stadium. They had anybody that knows Star Wars, the graphics rolling up the screen, and it says "The Snakes Awaken" as the Diamondbacks and Jays.
Are you a big Star Wars fan?
I am. Yeah.
I do like Star Wars as well. I tried to. I knew it was going to be Star Wars night at Chase Field tonight, so I did watch a little bit of a Star Wars movie earlier today. Just to get myself.
Well, we had a
right
little bit of time to kill waiting for this 10 o'clock
10
Eastern
game. Yes.
No doubt. And it was the Lourdes Gurriel Stormtrooper bobblehead being handed out, and I actually saw a glimpse of the Arizona television broadcast as well, where they had Gurriel's 3 sons all getting their bobbleheads, and they were ripping it open. And look at Dad! And they had the purple hair cool. with the Stormtrooper costume on and whatnot as well. Anyways, we digress. Star Wars night in Arizona. More importantly for the Blue Jays, it's a night where they need to get back on the winning track. As we talked about last night in the quick little post-game show that we had, the Jays this close to being in the midst of a 6-game winning streak, because they got the last 2 against Seattle. They let one slide against San Fran, bounced back with 2 wins, and then it looked like it was going to be a victory last night before, again, they frittered it away.
And if you're the Blue Jays, you're just hoping that you can do tonight what you've done in the previous 2 series after dropping Game 1, is coming back and winning Game 2, and then, of course, Game 3 to ultimately win the series. And that's what they've got to do. They've got to put yesterday's game, last night's game behind them, because there's nothing you can do about it now. You might as well go ahead and move forward, do whatever you can to try to get some offense on the board early, get a great start out of Jose Berrios, and have your bullpen finish off the ball game.
And Yilbert Diaz starts the ball game with a fastball clocked at 97. It caught the inside edge. It's a strike to George Springer. Righty on righty matchup right here with Diaz and Springer. Diaz with just his 2nd career start. The 0-1 delivery, high, no good. It's 1-1. Diaz just 23 years old.
Yeah, he had his first start, and it was against the Atlanta Braves, and he threw extremely well. Ended up going 6 innings in that start, only gave up 4 hits, 1 earned run. It was a home run, but a really solid outing for him.
And the 1-1 pitch, Springer jumps on it, sends it out to left field, but there on the money to make the grab is Lourdes Gurriel Jr. There's 1 away.
Where Diaz finds a lot of his success is with that fastball. So the Blue Jays are going to have to go after fastballs throughout today's ball game. And George Springer gets a hold of one. There was a 96-mile-an-hour fastball that was low in the zone. He made really good contact with that one. And even as he was running back into the dugout, kind of threw up his arms at Gurriel Jr. for how dare he make a catch out in left field on that line drive.
He hit it hard.
He smoked that ball.
Brings out Spencer Horwitz, batting .323 on the season in 30 games. Playing at second base tonight, the left-handed bat of Horwitz. Seeing Diaz for the first time. And the 1-0 pitch, he gets underneath it, sends it high in the air to center field. It will be easy for Alek Thomas to camp underneath it, make the grab, and there's 2 away.
Nothing but 4-seam fastballs that we've seen from Diaz so far. And you mentioned how hard that line drive was hit off of George Springer's bat. Came off of his bat at 105 miles per hour.
First inning is brought to you by Armstrong Bird Food. Bring nature to your backyard with Armstrong, feeding Blue Jays since 1986. Visit ArmstrongBirdFood.com. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. steps up, the number 3 hitter. Of course, the right-handed bat, swinging at the first pitch, popping it up, and he's frustrated by that when he skies it to first base. Christian Walker underneath it, and that will do it for the Jays. They go 1, 2, 3, and on to the bottom of the first we go. No score. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
If you're looking for a fun day, did you know the day before Monday? Junior J Sunday. You can paint your face, come and meet Ace and run base to base. On Junior J Sunday. So many things to do. You can bring your crew and even mom and dad too. Junior J Sunday.
Sundays are for Junior Jays. Get to the ballpark early to enjoy outdoor activities before continuing the fun inside while you cheer on the Blue Jays.
If you're feeling the song, grab your dad or mom, visit BlueJays.com. Junior J Sunday.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit ConnexOntario.ca.
Hey, this is Chad Green. You're listening to Toronto Blue Jays baseball on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
I was brought up in the front row, that fire and brimstone.
Welcome back. Madison Shipman, Eric Smith with you, getting set to start the bottom half of the first inning. Our first look at Jose Berrios, again 8-6 on the season. The ERA sitting at 3.76 as he will face Corbin Carroll in the first pitch on the outside edge. Good for a strike on the sinker and an 0-1 count. Carroll batting .210 on the season, 3 homers, 26 runs batted in. And we saw him on base a couple of times last night. The speedster was certainly a factor. Second pitch catches the bat of Carroll. Tried to hold back his swing, but it hit the lumber either way, and now it's 0-2. Berrios with the leg kick and the delivery, and that looked pretty good on the inside corner, but apparently not good enough to earn the strikeout, so it's 1-2.
And I wonder if it had something to do with the fact that Alejandro Kirk just did not catch that pitch cleanly. It was a sinker low and inside to Carroll that looked like it was definitely in that strike zone.
And now down in the dirt on pitch number 4, missing on that slurve. It's 2-2.
Berrios had a pretty good outing against the Mariners, went 6 innings, did give up 7 hits along with 4 earned runs, but really it came down to 2 big mistakes that he made in that ball game.
The 2-2 pitch, Carroll swings at it out to second base, picked up by Horwitz, over to Vladdy at first. There's 1 down.
I like the location there for that changeup. Typically he's going to throw that changeup away to the lefties, but he actually rode that one in on the hands of Corbin Carroll, and his numbers against lefties have looked pretty good this year. I know that in years past that's been a struggle for Jose Berrios, is facing those left-handed batters. He's got a couple of lefties right here at the top of the order for the Diamondbacks, but his numbers have looked good against left-handed batters, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's really mixing up that pitch mix to the lefties this season.
This brings up Ketel Marte, the left-handed bat of Marte. Well, left-handed right now. He's a switch hitter, but batting from the left side against the righty Berrios. 18 homers, 52 runs batted in on the season for the All-Star Marte. And quickly ahead in the count, 2-0, and Berrios wants a new baseball. And he does indeed get that new ball, rubs it in his hands for a couple of seconds, and now it gets set on the rubber, working quickly. The 2-0 pitch. Fouled off by Marte down the left field line, and it bounces against the wall and back into the field, so it'll be picked up by Davis Schneider, and he'll toss it to a fan. Actually picked up by a ball boy now.
It was just this past series in San Francisco where neither of the starting pitchers really all series long liked the baseballs. I felt like baseballs were just getting tossed out of the game left and right, maybe just not liking the way that they were rubbed up prior to the game.
You're right, actually. I think that last game against San Fran, I remember talking to Chris LaRue, but at one point, however many there are, 4 or 5 baseballs, the umpire asked for a whole set of them.
They were having to go through a ton of them, and it must have been something with the way that they rubbed them up. Of course, they're going to try to scuff up those balls a little bit before the game starts to get the sheen off of the brand new baseballs, but something about it, the pitchers on both sides, neither one of them liked them.
The 2-2 to Marte down low, missing on the changeup, so the count is now full.
And I say all that to say that it doesn't seem like that's happening so far in the Diamondbacks series. Berrios just didn't like the one baseball, but he seems to like this one.
Marte digs in, gets set. Berrios has the sign from Kirk. The 3-2 delivery, and a nasty looking slurve right there came inside and a little bit too far inside, so Marte earns the walk and heads down to first.
Not sure how Marte was even able to hold up his swing on that pitch, because it looked like a really good slurve low and inside. It definitely missed for a ball, but it did not miss by much, and that's typically a count where you're definitely in swing mode in that full count. And he somehow held up, and a runner on board now for Jock Peterson.
Peterson batting .269, 13 homers on the season with a man on, and the first pitch apparently is a strike. Take it and run if you're a Blue Jay fan. That one looked like it was a little bit below the zone, but called a strike. So Berrios will take that. 0-1 delivery now to Peterson. And they tried to come inside, and Peterson turned on it, sends it into the right field corner. and Springer had some trouble with it for a moment. Coming all the way around from first to score is Marte. Peterson got to second, took a real wide turn, but dives back into the bag safely, and Arizona has struck early with a 1-0 lead.
After throwing a first pitch slurve that ends up getting called for a strike low in the zone, Berrios comes in with this cutter that just pretty much hangs right over the middle of the plate. And Jock Peterson, being a lefty, he crowds the plate a little bit, trying to challenge him on the inside part of the plate. And he turns on this cutter 91 miles per hour down the right field line. And it did look like George Springer had to regather his footing as he made that play off the wall, tried to relay it into Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but just not going to be into home plate in time to get Ketel Marte, and they actually tried to backpick Jock Peterson at second base, but he was able to dive back into second base safely.
13th double of the season for Peterson. It brings up Christian Walker. And outside, missing on the slurve, a 1-0 count to Walker. This is a potent lineup tonight. Not that it wasn't good last night, but when you go from Marte to Peterson to Walker to Gurriel Jr., there's a lot of power, a lot of home run power for the Diamondbacks.
The one pitch we haven't seen a ton from Jose, I know it's still early, but haven't seen a ton of those four-seam fastballs, and I felt like that was a big pitch for him against the Mariners because he was pumping them in there 97 miles per hour. He threw some of his hardest pitches of the season on that four-seam fastball in his last start.
The 1-1 to Walker is hit straight out to short. Picked up by Jimenez over to first to record the out, and there's two down.
The big out there facing Christian Walker and the way that he's been swinging the bat recently, and that was a sinker. I think he got away with a pitch there. That one pretty much looked like it was piped right down the middle, and Walker just hit it straight to Jimenez at shortstop.
So two down here, bottom of the first. Arizona with the early lead, up 1-0, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. comes up, the former Blue Jay, on Gurriel bobblehead night, Star Wars bobblehead night. They've got Gurriel in a Stormtrooper outfit, but with the helmet off, and the Stormtrooper helmet sitting down at his feet. So it's his head with his purple hair wearing the Stormtrooper outfit.
And the purple is the exact same color of his hair. The purples are exactly the same, from the bobblehead to what is on his head.
Could you pull that off? I know I could.
Purple? I say that. I have had streaks of purple in my hair before. Yes, in high school. My high school's colors were purple, so for playoffs one year, I decided to dye the bottom half of my hair purple.
We're going to have to dig up a picture here now, Madison. The 1-1 pitch to Gurriel is sent foul down the third base line.
Purposely, I don't think there's any picture evidence of that, but I can tell you one thing. My hair did not look nearly as good as Gurriel Jr.'s hair does in the purple.
Well, mine was never purple. Now I don't have enough left to dye it any color. But it definitely works for Gurriel, that's for sure. Not many can pull it off, but he does. Berrios trying to pull off a strikeout right here, ahead in the count 1-2. The pitch, and it's fouled away by Gurriel. We'll do it again at 1-2.
There's that four-seam fastball, not coming in there quite as hard as what we saw in that Seattle game, but that one 93 miles per hour in a perfect location for it, up and in on the hands of Gurriel Jr., and he tried to get extended on it, but was just way jammed up on that four-seam fastball after seeing two consecutive changeups.
Jock Peterson out at second after his RBI double. Gurriel Jr. down in the count 1-2, but hoping to cash in Peterson and keep this inning going. Geraldo Perdomo sitting on deck. Gurriel stepped out of the box for a moment to take his time. He now gets set, coming back in. And the 1-2 pitch from Berrios. Down in the dirt. Nice block there by Alejandro Kirk. It's 2-2. I'll tell you, back to Gurriel for a second. He's got the purple arm sleeve on the right arm to match the hair, but he's also got the purple, pink, and green Jordan 1 high top cleats. Like, he's got it all going.
He's one up in my Air Jordan game too, because mine are just white and black, but his look way cooler right now. I need a pair of those. I don't think the cleats would go over so well in the radio booth, but I definitely like that color combination that he's got going on.
That looks real good. He is coordinated big time.
Even the batting gloves too. Look, lime green and purple.
Look good, feel good. Play good. I know it's play well, bad English, but you know what I'm saying. The 2-2 pitch to Gurriel. outside. Kirk tried to frame it and pull it back in, but Ryan Addison, the home plate umpire, was having none of it. It's a 3-2 count now. Berrios has already thrown 21 pitches here in this first inning. And he fouls off another one, Gurriel Jr. does. Continues to battle in this at-bat.
And you talked about how that pitch count for Berrios is already climbing up really high in the bottom of the first inning. And I think a lot of it has to do with some of the non-competitive pitches that he's throwing way outside of the zone. And then he tries to over-adjust by bringing them too much over the heart of the plate. That last sinker right down the middle, Gurriel hit foul.
The 3-2 delivery sent to center field on a rope, but right at Varsho. He had to backpedal maybe 5-6 feet. He makes the grab, and that sits down the Diamondbacks. But Arizona does get one. They lead Toronto 1-0 as we head to the second. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
If you like yacht rock, you're gonna love Yacht Soul. A new Sirius XM channel with the same smooth, but even more groove.
Just the two of us. Turn your love on.
Yeah, soulful and funky. Yacht Soul. Year-round in a Sirius XM app.
It's fantasy football season, because we say it is.
Hey Insiders, thanks for joining us. Make sure you guys have hit that like button down below. Let's get some more Blue Jays fans here in the chat to cheer on our boys and get it done here in this series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's go Blue Jays, finish strong heading into the All-Star break, and let's make some noise and make a postseason run, shall we? Go Jays, go. We'll see you in the chat.
We're back on the track. Sunday.
1:30 p.m. Eastern.
It's the Great American Getaway 400, presented by VisitPA.com. From Pocono Raceway. On Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90. In the car. And on the all-new Sirius XM app. Get closer to everything that moves you, wherever you are, with the Sirius XM app.
Let's make some smoke and drink some beer. Yes!
Fantasy Sports Radio is helping you win whichever fantasy sport you play. Right now on Channel 87 and on the all-new Sirius XM app. And the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back. Second inning is presented by Bet365. At Bet365, you can bet live in-game on game props, totals, and the money line. Download the app and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 19+. Play responsibly. Ontario only. First batter of the second inning is the cleanup man for the Blue Jays, Justin Turner, and he takes a pitch, a fastball, in for a strike, an 0-1 count. Diaz with the delivery, and Turner fouls that one off up and over the dugout on the first base side, deep into the stands and quickly down 0-2. Dalton Varsho on deck, the former D-back. Turner standing in and lets that pitch go high on the fastball. Diaz misses. It's 1-2.
We have yet to see anything other than a four-seam fastball from Diaz. Now, granted, he only threw 6 pitches in the first inning, but so far that pitch count up to 9, all of them have been that four-seam fastball.
And the 1-2 pitch down low, another four-seam fastball clocked at 98, but way too low. Turner held off. It's now 2-2.
He does have a curveball and a slider. Both of those pitches have really good movement on it, especially that curveball. He's got some great depth on that breaking ball.
The 2-2 delivery, and Turner sends it out to right field, but it's all but right at Corbin Carroll, who makes the grab. Turner ran with his bat to first. He knew it was going to be an out. There's one away.
He hit that one pretty hard off the bat, too, 95 miles per hour. A couple of hardline drives have just happened to go straight to Diamondbacks outfielders. But it looks like Diaz is just going to continue to pump in those fastballs until the Blue Jays start to make adjustments on those pitches.
So Dalton Varsho comes up batting 197 on the season, had the triple last night, and was hoping to be one of the heroes before, again, Toronto let it slide away the last couple innings last night, the 8th and 9th. 2 in the 8th for Arizona, 1 in the 9th to walk off the Jays in a 5-4 victory. First pitch in for a strike, and the second a knuckle curve that went right down Main Street and just dropped in on Varsho. He's down 0-2.
Such a drastic change in velocity, too. 80 miles per hour compared to the 97 mile per hour four-seam fastball that he's been pumping in there.
How about 98 up at the head of Varsho? He had to kind of duck out of the way. Diaz missing badly on that one, but that'll get in your head, literally and figuratively.
You'll see that every once in a while from Diaz, too. That was his biggest step to finally get to the majors, was really commanding his fastball locations.
And Varsho just popped up the 1-2 pitch, but it goes up and over the backstop, so he'll stay alive and continue to fight down 1-2. Here's the pitch. Down in the dirt, and a great job there by Varsho to hold off on that knuckle curve. It bounced in front of the plate. It's now 2-2.
After he missed so badly with that knuckle curve, you could almost anticipate that he's going to come back with a fastball in this 2-2 count. I'm Varsho. I'm selling out for the fastball here.
Diaz gets the sign from Herrera. The 2-2 pitch, and indeed a fastball down Main Street. Line drive to center, and diving for it to his side was Alec Thomas. It gets by him to the wall, and turning on the Jets to go from second to third and standing up again for a second straight night, a triple for Dalton Varsho.
It's a really good swing, and you knew that he was anticipating that fastball coming, that one coming off of his bat at 110 miles per hour and 98 mile per hour fastball on the low and outside corner, and he drives it straight back up the middle. Not sure why Alec Thomas went to try to go for the slide dive on that ball, because that ball was dropping no matter what, but because of that and the speed that Dalton Varsho has, he's going to easily make it all the way over to third base.
Seems like one of those plays where, easy for me to say, but Thomas needed to dive head first towards the ball, or not dive at all, not kind of dive sideways half-heartedly.
It looked like he got kind of caught in between. Maybe initially he was thinking he was going to go all out and dive head first to try to make a catch, and at the last minute decided against it. But because of him being in between there, that ball just shot right past him.
Kirk fouls off the first pitch from Diaz, and then a big swing and a miss on the second pitch, missing on the slider, and now quickly down 0-2. The Jays obviously would love to cash in Varsho and tie up this game, or more.
We'll take another sac fly. We saw 3 of those yesterday, and of course the sac fly ultimately ended up being the walk-off winner for the Diamondbacks against the Jays. A game full of sacrifice flies.
And as we noted yesterday, the Jays have been solid on this road trip with runners in scoring position, batting .333 as a team. We'll see what Kirk can do right here on the 0-2. And that one way outside in the dirt, and a nice grab there by Jose Herrera to keep that ball in front of him and not allow Varsho to trot in from third.
Tried to go back-to-back with the sliders and missed way over in that left-handed batter's box. And again, similar situation. You'd think if you're Alejandro Kirk, you've got to be looking for a fastball here, right? 1-2 count, missed badly out of the strike zone with that slider. Try to come back with a strike here.
Here's the 1-2.
I think it throws the curveball.
Yep, missed just above the zone. Came in at 85 miles an hour. It's now 2-2 as Kirk is riding a 5-game hit streak coming into tonight's tilt. Would love to make it 6 right here. Diaz, the leg kick and delivery, and Kirk got underneath it, sends it out into center field, into left center. The two fielders were shoulder to shoulder, a miscommunication there with Thomas and Gurriel, but either way they make the grab. Thomas actually recorded the out, but Varsho tags and scores, and we are even 1-1.
Just a really nice swing by Alejandro Kirk to get enough of that baseball that was right at the top of the zone, 97 miles per hour on that four-seam fastball, and get it deep enough out into the outfield to score Varsho from third base. And it definitely looked like a bit of miscommunication between Gurriel and Thomas. I don't think it mattered who ultimately was going to catch that ball. Varsho was going to score easily on that.
Well, and we just saw on the replay, both players were saying, I got it, I got it, I got it, I got it. So
sometimes it happens, too, where you're saying it at the same time, so you can't hear your teammate saying it.
Right. Davis Schneider comes up, quickly takes a ball on the first pitch from Diaz. The second, a knuckle curve down in the dirt, and it's now 2-0 to Schneider. Nobody on as Varsho just came in on the sac fly from Kirk. We are tied 1-1 in the top of the second. Eric Smith and Madison Shipman from the Timbermart broadcast booth. And the 2-0 pitch way high. It's now 3-0. Schneider taking the whole way. That pitch outside. And 4 straight balls to Davis Schneider. So another base runner for the Jays with 2 down.
Like we talked about earlier, this is something that had been a problem in previous seasons for Diaz because he would give up so many walks and a lot of the pitches missing well outside of the strike zone to where batters aren't even going to think about swinging at them. And it looked like Davis Schneider was thinking take all the way on that 3-0 pitch. Draws the walk with 2 away.
Brings up Ernie Clement swinging at the first pitch, bounces it out to third. It's picked up by Suarez over to first to Walker to record the out, and that will do it for the Jays. But again, they tie it up. We're even now 1-1 as we go to the bottom of the second inning. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Carnival is at the core of Toronto culture. Stand out in the crowd with your Blue Jays neon hat giveaway. The colors, the music, the heat, the vibes.
I don't know who's having more fun, the players or the fans.
Be at Rogers Center as the Blue Jays celebrate Caribbean Carnival and create core memories of summer in the city.
Everybody's feeling good right now.
Arrive early on Friday, July 26th and claim your Blue Jays neon hat. Blue Jays Caribbean Carnival. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
We're 2 men in a truck, the movers who care. You never know when cardiac arrest can happen. That's why each and every one of our trucks carries a life-saving Mikey defibrillator as part of our Mikey on Board program. Whether we're on the highway or in front of your house, we're prepared to help anyone whose heart may skip a beat. The Mikey Network has saved many lives, making Mikey's accessible to the public. And now they're on board our trucks. We're 2 men in a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. A 1-2-3 inning for Richards as he strikes out the side.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Getting set to start the bottom of the second inning. Jays and Diamondbacks tied now 1-1 as Toronto responded by evening up this game on a sac fly in the top of the second. It was Kirk that cashed in Varsho after Jock Peterson drove in Ketel Marte in the bottom of the first. So again, we are even here. Second at bats for the Diamondbacks, and the first hitter of this second inning is Geraldo Perdomo. Takes the first pitch for a strike, second one a ball as the slurve missed for Berrios. It's 1-1. And now coming high in the zone, but it looked like it might have caught that upper edge, but not according to Ryan Additon, the home plate umpire.
Yeah, Alejandro Kirk kind of shook his head to the side, anticipating that one was going to be called for a strike, but it ends up being called for a ball. So drastically different count here, now 2-1.
And that one too far inside, a little bit high as well. Berrios again stared in, wanted that call, but that certainly did look like it was a ball. 3-1 now to Perdomo. Berrios working quickly with the 3-1 pitch. Outside, and a free pass for Perdomo to start this inning.
And the common theme that we've seen from the Blue Jays, even going back to yesterday in the first inning in this ball game, is the walks have come around to hurt the Jays. When you give up those free passes, it seems like the Diamondbacks are just finding a way to bring those runs across. And now giving up the leadoff walk here in the bottom of the second puts Berrios in an even tougher spot.
Eugenio Suarez comes up for the first time in this game. And again, in Arizona, they call him Gino, so that's what we'll go with the rest of the broadcast. Gino Suarez, the right-handed bat, the third baseman, down 0-1 after the first pitch, good for Berrios on the sinker. Next pitch came inside. It looked like it caught the edge. And again, Addison does not call the strike. And they go down to first to check. And Gabe Morales says, nope. Suarez didn't swing either. He held back, so it's a 1-1 count.
It definitely looked like that pitch was well within the strike zone up at the top and on the inside part of the plate.
No doubt about that one as Berrios comes back with another sinker, and it's now 1-2.
It can be a tough spot for a pitcher, too, because you know that you don't want to over-adjust and bring it over the heart of the plate, but you also got to make sure that you don't keep falling behind in the count.
Yep. This is another game where, at least early on, it looks like the strike zone is confusing.
It's typically where I like to use the term fluid or generous, and that's what we saw yesterday. And
we saw it a lot against San Francisco.
We saw it quite a bit.
The 1-2 pitch now from Berrios. And Suarez sends it up the middle for a base hit into center. Quickly on it is Varsho. So that will hold Perdomo at second. But now first and second with none away for the Diamondbacks.
Berrios trying to locate down and away to Suarez with this sinker. It's actually a really great piece of hitting by Suarez, too. Not a bad located pitch. Maybe in that count, probably get that pitch a little bit further outside of the zone. But Suarez just got his barrel down to it and roped it straight back up the middle off of his bat at 108 miles per hour.
This brings up the center fielder, the left-handed bat of Alec Thomas, with 2 on and none out. Berrios looks out at Perdomo at second. The pitch in for a strike on a fastball, 0-1 count.
It's interesting to see where the velocities are on that four-seam fastball like we talked about in that Seattle start for Berrios. He got that four-seamer up to 98 miles per hour.
Missing on the changeup, it's now 1-1.
His average in that game was just under 96 miles per hour, and so far we're seeing that four-seamer consistently 92, 93 miles per hour, making it look very similar to that sinker that he's throwing.
Again, the lookout at Perdomo at second. The 1-1 pitch. And this one sent foul, bouncing it down the first base line and off the wall. And trailing the count now, Thomas down 1-2. That was the same count, though, moments ago for Suarez, and he was able to come through with the big base hit. Thomas batting 186 on the season, and he came through last night for the Diamondbacks late in the ballgame. After I said that, I thought they might take him out. Shows what I know. And he tries to do it again right here, out to center field, but on the run to make the grab is Dalton Varsho. Smart piece of base running, though, for Perdomo, as he was still able to tag and advance to third. So it's now runners on the corners for Arizona with 1 away.
You can always appreciate the little things that Dalton Varsho does when he's in the outfield. And as he was tracking that ball into left center field, he had his eyes on Perdomo the entire time. And even after he caught that ball, it looked like he had positioned his body to go to third just in case he thought he was going to have a shot. And then at the last minute, turned his body to throw the ball to second to prevent the runner from first base from advancing to second base, knowing that he wasn't going to have a shot at Perdomo at third.
So it's Madison's point. Suarez stays at first as Perdomo advances to third. So the double play ball is a possibility right here as Jose Herrera comes up, swinging at the first pitch, sends it into right field. No double play there. It's going to cash in a runner as Arizona takes a 2-1 lead, and Suarez goes first to third on the Herrera single. So again, runners on the corners, only 1 out, and Arizona on top 2-1. And guess what? That walk to start the inning comes back to bite the Jays again.
It always seems to happen, especially when it's the first batter of the inning. When you give them that momentum with that free pass to start off an inning, they find a way to come around to score, and that's exactly what happens again here. And I feel like a lot of Berrios' pitches, whether it's the sinker or the four-seamer, are staying more low in the zone. And I feel like he's able to have more success when he's varying those locations, especially with that four-seam pitch, getting it more up in the upper part of the zone. Although he hasn't gotten a lot of the calls, I still think that you have to mix up the eye level to these batters where you're throwing it, because if you stay in the same spot too long, they're going to make those adjustments.
Back to the top of the order, Corbin Carroll takes a changeup for a ball. The 1-0 pitch from Berrios. Carroll gets underneath it, skies it out to right field. Springer camping underneath it. He's going to come up throwing, tagging, trying to score. Here's the play at the plate. No, it's cut off by Vladdy as Suarez slides in safely, but the throw wasn't even coming through, and Arizona has taken a 3-1 lead.
Berrios threw Corbin Carroll that slurve low and inside, and he just gets barrel underneath that pitch enough to drive it deep enough out to George Springer out in right field. Another interesting choice, especially with the way that Corbin Carroll's been struggling on fastballs up in the zone, that they decide to throw him that slurve breaking down and into his barrel. But either way, another run across for the Diamondbacks here.
So 1 in the first, 2 here in the second, and the inning could still continue right now with only 2 down and a runner out on first. Brings up Ketel Marte. He walked and scored in the first inning. Berrios now over 40 pitches, 41 to be exact, and we're not even out of the second. First pitch, the slurve no good. 1-0 delivery, and Marte fouls it down the first base side. It's 1-1. The Blue Jay bats will have some work to do tonight, trailing by 2, having given up already 3 runs in this ballgame. We're not even out of the second inning. The 1-1 pitch from Berrios. And Marte sends it straight up the middle, but great positioning by Jimenez. It went actually over Berrios, kind of had to duck out of the way, and Jimenez picks it up, trots over to second, and gets the out. And that will do it for the Diamondbacks, but not before they score 2 to take a 3-1 lead as we head to the third inning. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
We're 2menintruck.ca. We've got lots of men and lots of trucks, so get ready to be moved.
Think 2menintruck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2menintruck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2menintruck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate, Pizza's big hitter, fixed rate pizza. An extra large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. I dare say, folks, inflation stands no chance against this all-star. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for fixed rate pizza. Lock in yours today.
Go to pizza.ca.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit ConnexOntario.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Called strike 3, change up at the knees, and there's nothing you can do about that pitch.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Third inning is brought to you by the local family-owned Crown Rust Control Centers in Halifax and Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Protect your vehicle from rust today. Find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com, Canada's #1 rust protection. Leo Jimenez starts off the third inning for the Jays, and the first pitch, a fastball, no good. Jimenez ahead in the count, 1-0. And the second pitch, apparently a little bit too high. It's now 2-0. That looked pretty good.
If it's not going to be called for Berrios, then all you ask is that it's not going to be called for Diaz either. But yeah, that definitely looked like it clipped the top part of the strike zone.
The 2-0 pitch way outside, and now a 3-0 count. And a chance for Jimenez to maybe get on to start this inning.
That is the one thing you can do as a hitter, too, is if you notice that your pitcher is getting squeezed out there, you can try to use that to your advantage when you step up to the plate.
The 3-0, Jimenez understandably taking the whole way, but it caught the outside edge on the fastball. Diaz threw it at 96, and the count now sits at 3-1. Jimenez batting .353 on the season. Obviously in limited action, but that average is going to go up as he just knocked a base hit to right field. And Carroll picks it up. Excuse me, yes, it is Carroll. I apologize. Tosses it back in, and the Blue Jays get the leadoff man on.
That was a prime example, too, of, I know you and I talked about it yesterday, about how Jimenez does such a good job of keeping his hands inside of the baseball, and that was a fastball at 96 miles per hour on the inside part of the plate. And maybe he's a little bit late on it, but because his hands and his barrel are staying behind his hands, he's able to still drive that ball out into right field for a base hit.
Back to the top of the order we go with George Springer, who flew out to left field on a hard shot to lead off this ball game. Jimenez now out at first. Diaz comes set. Here's the pitch. And Springer swings at the 1-0 delivery, fouls it pretty much straight back. It's now 1-1.
A little bit of a hesitant swing on that slider, 82 miles per hour. We talked about the velocity difference, and it almost looked like George Springer had time to reload and take a big cut at that pitch.
Blue Jays down 3-1, top of the third. Diaz now tossing over to first base, trying to keep Jimenez honest. Counts even at 1-1. Getting the sign from Herrera. Diaz with the delivery. It's down low. Springer held off. It's now 2-1. One game remaining tomorrow afternoon before the All-Star break. The 2-1 delivery. And Springer sends a hot shot to short. It's bobbled by Perdomo for a moment, but then he recovers to toss it to second, then over to first. The double play is turned 6-4-3.
So far in this ball game, George Springer a little snake bitten up at the plate, and pun intended there when I use that term, snake bitten. He hits this one hard off of the bat, 200 miles per hour off of his bat, maybe just a tad bit in front of it. It takes a funny hop on its way to Perdomo, but he's able to keep that ball in front of him, pick it up barehanded, and still turn the 6-4-3 double play.
Marte got rid of that thing in a hurry. As soon as that ball came in, he was turning and whipping it over to Walker at first, and they got Springer by about a step.
This Diamondbacks team is very solid defensively. They make the routine plays, but they also make exceptional plays.
The knuckle curve no good to Horwitz, but they come back with a second straight knuckle curve, and that one drops into the zone. The count now sits at 1-1. Horwitz flying out in the first inning. Flew out to center field. 2 out, none on, and now a 2-1 count as the fastball is low, clocked at 95. The 2-1 pitch fouled back by Horwitz up and over the backstop. It's now 2-2. The earlier you join in on Jays Care 50-50 jackpots, the more chances you have to win. Get your tickets, and you could take home Blue Jay tickets, cash prizes, and signed memorabilia and more. Head to BlueJays.com/5050 for your tickets from anywhere in Ontario or Nova Scotia. The 2-2 to Spencer Horwitz came inside. He fouls it off down the first base side, and it will stay at 2-2. You know, we can actually buy tickets for those too. We're allowed.
Oh, we
We've
are.
Looked into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have looked into it. Okay.
I haven't bought it yet, but I've found out.
Yeah.
Yep. So when those jackpots get up to like $1 million or something, you want to get in on that, Madison. 2-2 delivery, swing and a miss way inside, but Horwitz bit on the slider, and that will do it for the Jays. On to the bottom of the third. Toronto trailing 3-1. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The biggest names in NASCAR talk are now with SiriusXM.
Hey, this is Denny Hamlin, host of Actions Detrimental, driver of the number 11 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, and co-owner of 2311 Racing. Join me and my co-host Jared Allen every Monday for a recap of each NASCAR race from the driver's seat. We'll break down how my race went and hopefully ending in victory lane.
Hear Actions Detrimental plus every incredible podcast from Dirty Mo Media right now on the SiriusXM app.
Before the USA Basketball Men's Olympic team headed to Paris, the team's managing director, Grant Hill, sat down for an exclusive town hall interview on SiriusXM NBA Radio, hosted by Coach K.
Coach, you've assembled rosters. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. I left people off that I love, that I'm a big, I want to tune in and watch. That was hard.
Hear our town hall interview with Grant Hill, hosted by Coach K, whenever you want with the all-new SiriusXM app. Just search Team USA.
The final major championship of 2024 is coming, and you can hear all the action on SiriusXM.
Up toward the hole, has a chance, and it goes! Rory McIlroy with an overhand fist pump!
Coverage of the 152nd Open Championship begins Monday, July 15th, with play-by-play beginning Thursday, July 18th on Open Radio.
He's holding the big one! Brian Harman is the champion golfer of the year!
Hear the 2024 Open Championship on Channel 92 when you're in the car, and on the SiriusXM app.
In season or out of season, the number one place for college sports is SiriusXM College Sports Radio, Channel 84.
Madison Shipman and Eric Smith with you from the Timbermart broadcast booth. Timbermart has someone on deck to help you with any home improvement projects. They always do. Before you begin renovating, visit the team at Timbermart. They've got the know-how to make sure you come out swinging on your next project. Timbermart, Canada's building center. First pitch to Jock Peterson, in for a strike on the fastball, clocked at 94. It's an 0-1 count. Berrios coming back with a second straight fastball and now quickly ahead 0-2. Peterson had the RBI double in the first inning that got the scoring going for Arizona. They've added two more since for a 3-1 lead here in the bottom of the third. Peterson just fouled one off down the left field side into the stands. It stays at 0-2.
I know it's only 3 pitches into this inning, but I already like the locations of these four-seam fastballs that he's throwing to Jock Peterson. It was the cutter low and inside that he hit that double down to right field on in his first at-bat. All 3 of these four-seam fastballs have been in the upper part of the strike zone.
And this time the 0-2 too far inside, and it hit Peterson. That was real close to hitting the dirt first before it hit Peterson.
Did it hit the dirt? I thought maybe it either hit the dirt or it hit his foot.
It hit the foot. I'm saying it was real close to hitting the dirt first. We're getting a look at the replay, and we got to see another angle to see how close it truly was. But Ryan Addison, the home plate umpire, has already told Peterson to go take the free pass. He's standing on first right now.
We can definitely say that that is not where Jose Berrios intended to throw that slurve.
Tough break as he was ahead 0-2, and now he's got to deal with Christian Walker. If I'm not mistaken, Walker sporting a haircut and a beard trim. He looked a little more straggly last night. Maybe looking clean going into the All-Star break. And the 1-0 pitch, no good. It's now 2-0.
A lot of people around Arizona not happy that Christian Walker wasn't named an All-Star too, but I guess it's unfortunate for him playing first base in the National League, where Freddie Freeman and Bryce Harper also play first base. But he's had a fantastic season for the Diamondbacks.
Well, Berrios just got a big-time gift. Take it and run if you're a Blue Jay fan. That sinker was well low and outside, but he got the call, and that's a big pitch right there. It's now 2-1 instead of 3-0. Here's the pitch to Walker. And it came inside, but Walker turned on it and punched it out. Forced it out into left field. It drops in front of Schneider, and the Diamondbacks have 2 on with none out, and this is exactly what they had last inning as well.
It just feels like deja vu. You give up that free pass, and when Jose Berrios just missed on the slurve, and that obviously he did not mean for that to happen, especially being ahead 0-2, and then you throw a really good pitch. It's a sinker that's not even close to the strike zone on the inner half to Christian Walker, and he somehow fights it off and manages to get that base hit out to left field. But those are the types of things that can start to snowball and happen when you give up those free passes, especially to start off the inning.
Brings up Lourdes Gurriel Jr. lined out in the first inning. 0 for 1 in the ball game. The pitch down Main Street. The sinker dropped in. An 0-1 counts. Gurriel 265 his average on the season. 13 homers, 55 runs batted in. And a couple out there for him right now. One of them in scoring position. Again, first and second for the Diamondbacks. None out here in the bottom of the third. And Gurriel just turned on one. Sends it to left field. But a great job getting to it on the line drive. Schneider, who whips it in and keeps the runners held at first and second. Peterson right now patting his chest saying, my bad, I should have tagged and maybe advanced to third.
I think off the bat, Jock Peterson thought that thing was going to easily drop down in left field, and so he got a really big secondary lead, and then at the last minute realized that Davis Schneider was tracking that thing down towards the left field line, but at that point it was too late, not able to advance. Pretty nice play by Schneider off of a very hard-hit line drive off of his bat.
It brings up Geraldo Perdomo, who walked in his first at-bat, walked and scored in the last inning. 1 out now, 2 on, first and second for the Diamondbacks. They lead 3-1. The pitch from Berrios, and Perdomo tried to jump on the first one, sends it foul down the first base line, only missed by a couple of feet, but he's now down 0-1. Berrios gets the sign from Alejandro Kirk. Looks out at second, turns, fires, and that changeup a little low. It's now 1-1. Berrios has thrown 55 pitches through 2 1/3 innings. And the 1-1 pitch is in for a strike on the sinker. It's now 1-2.
That pitch count way up for him already, as you mentioned, and he has yet to record a strikeout in this ballgame. The only strikeout that we've seen from either side was that last strikeout by Spencer Horwitz to end the top of the third.
The 1-2 delivery, and Perdomo got underneath it, but plenty of room for Varsho, who makes the grab, comes up throwing, and cut off at short by Jimenez to thus hold the runner at first. So it'll be runners on the corners for Arizona with 2 away. Peterson moves up to third, but Christian Walker still stuck at first.
Again, this inning starting to really sound very similar to the second inning. Dalton Varsho making a catch and runner advancing to third base, but holding the runner at first base. Now at least there's 2 outs, so no opportunities for Suarez here to hit a sac fly.
I'm going to say this whole series, it's only the second game, but it's been all about sac flies.
Yes.
Last night and tonight. Again, the Arizona leading 3-1, bottom of the third. Berrios trying to get out of a jam here after putting on the first 2 batters. Peterson was hit by a pitch, then Walker had a single. He gave up 2 runs last inning after the first 2 batters got on, but hoping to not replicate that here in the third.
What a big difference, too, that mistake by Jock Peterson not tagging on that line drive to Lourdes Gurriel Jr. could become in this inning if Jose Berrios is able to get out of this one.
Down in the count, though, 2-0. Berrios trying to battle back here against Suarez, and he just skied one out to left center, camping underneath it. Davis Schneider, plenty of room to make the grab and sit down the Diamondbacks. So the Jays get out of trouble as we head to the 4th inning. Toronto trailing 3-1. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The Euro 2024 final is here, and it's on Sirius XM.
Cue the celebrations!
England is searching for their first ever European title. While Spain is hungry to begin another era of Spanish dominance.
Dani Olmo, instant control. Can he put it away? It's got it!
It's the final of the Euros. England versus Spain. Sunday at 3 Eastern on Fox Sports Channel 83 and streaming on the Sirius XM app.
Are you regretting eating that gas station hot dog? Yeah, we know. We've been there too. This is a message for baseball fans like you. Did you know that you get a channel that's talking baseball 24/7 as part of your SiriusXM subscription?
What?
Our lineup includes shows hosted by former big leaguers and executives. Plus, you'll hear from 17 managers each week. MLB Network Radio is on SiriusXM Channel 89. Or just search MLB Network Radio on the SXM app. SiriusXM Sports. We're more than just a game.
Every night after the final out, the Round Trip Roundup brings you the scores, highlights, and analysis from every game across Major League Baseball, all in less than 30 minutes.
Swung on and missed, strike three and a no-hitter.
It's the perfect way to get caught up on all the night's biggest home runs and best performances.
And a high drive, deep right center.
It's the Round Trip Roundup on MLB Network Radio every night on SiriusXM Channel 89 and every morning on the SiriusXM app.
24/7, 365 coverage of all things NASCAR. All things NASCAR happens exclusively on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
Getting set to start the fourth inning, the Blue Jays trail 3-1. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will lead things off here in this inning for the Blue Jays. Fourth inning is presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app for today's baseball odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 19 plus. Play responsibly. Ontario only. Jose Herrera taking a moment to adjust his equipment before crouching down behind the plate, and the first pitch delivered from Diaz in for a strike on a fastball. Vladdy down 0-1. 42 pitches thrown now for Diaz as we have just begun again the fourth inning. Here's the pitch. High in the zone, looked pretty good, but Guerrero got the call. A ball, it's 1-1.
It's definitely the top part of the zone that seems to not be called on either side.
The 1-1 pitch. Outside, down in the dirt. Vladdy held off. The slider no good. It's now 2-1.
Diaz has shown that he'll throw that slider, he'll throw that knuckle curve, but I still think that you've got to go up there as a batter and try to hunt that fastball because those are the most hittable pitches that he's throwing.
Big swing and a miss on the 2-1. There's the slider again, as you just mentioned, and it's now 2-2.
And that one probably would have been called a strike, but still in a 2-1 count, that pitch barely clipping low and outside. I just don't think that's a pitch that you want to go after in a hitter leverage count like 2-1.
Diaz looks in at the sign. Looks like they're trying to go inside on Vladdy. He left it over the plate. Guerrero, though, with a hot shot out to first, picked up by Walker, and he will keep it himself, walk over to the bag, and get the out. There's one away.
And that swing looked like a product of just being in a two-strike count, having to cover both the slider and the curveball along with that 97-mile-per-hour fastball. And that one piped a little bit lower in the zone, but right over the middle part of the plate. And Vladdy just a little bit late on it, so he hit it straight to Walker at first base.
Toronto down 3-1 here in the top of the fourth. Brings up Justin Turner. He flew it to right field in his first at bat. The pitch to Turner comes inside, missing on the fastball. 1-0. Turner, the average down to 234. 5 homers, 29 runs batted in on the season. The 1-0 pitch, Turner dribbles it out to short. Picked up by Perdomo over to first in plenty of time to get Turner, and there is 2 away.
Looked like a pretty good pitch for Justin Turner to go after in that count. A fastball outside, and he just pulled off of that pitch, hit it right off the end of the bat. And especially where he's standing in the box, the way that he puts his toes right on that chalk line, the pitch that's nailing the outside part of the plate probably feels a little bit more down the middle to him just because of where he's set up in the box. So that was definitely a very hittable pitch that he just missed.
Dalton Varsho now comes up. Had a triple in his first at-bat. The average now sits at an even 200 for Varsho. He tripled and scored the only Blue Jay run thus far. Toronto trailing 3-1, top 4. Fastball no good. It's a 1-0 count to Varsho. Diaz with the pitch. And that one outside, missing with the slider. It's now 2-0.
Jose Herrera back behind the plate. Really having to work tonight with Diaz on the mound because there's been several times where he's set up on one part of the plate and the pitch misses in the complete opposite part of the zone.
And now the 2-0 pitch comes inside, but they check down at third. And Doug Eddings, the third base umpire says that Varsho did go. So call it a strike. It's now 2-1. And now 3-1 as Diaz misses with a fastball a little bit low in the zone. Real close. Alejandro Kirk on deck. Coming into tonight on a 5-game hit streak. He would love to get in a bat right here with Varsho on base. The 3-1 pitch down low, and there is the walk to Varsho. So Kirk has a chance now to maybe move Varsho around.
And it's not a leadoff walk here in the top of the 4th inning, but we'll see if the Blue Jays can capitalize on a free pass that they've been given in this inning. And we know that Dalton Varsho does have some speed. And to remind everybody, it's just Yolmer Diaz's 2nd start in the major leagues. So maybe try to keep him honest over at first base.
He looks over at Varsho. Gets the sign now from Herrera. Here's the pitch. Outside. Down in the dirt, and another nice grab there by Herrera to keep Varsho at first, and a 1-0 count to Kirk.
And I especially think you have to be on your toes at first base with the way that he's been missing down in the dirt with those sliders and those curveballs.
Set of fresh baseballs here as Kirk steps back into the box. Herrera looks over at first. The leg kick and delivery outside again. It's 2-0. And now Herrera is going to come out to the mound for a couple of quick words with Diaz. Out of Town Scoreboard is brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Devilishly good since Toronto first raised the trophy in '92. Join them for wings, ribs, beer, cocktails, and catch every play at your local St. Louis Bar and Grill. Download the app or visit stlouiswings.com for details. Always devilishly good. One score that stands out for me: the Yankees beat the Orioles 6-1, so Baltimore continues to slide, and a huge win for the Yankees. Boston beating Kansas City 5-0, so movement in the AL East.
Baltimore's lost 5 games in a row now. That's tied for their season-long streak of losing this year. Aaron Judge with another home run today, 34 home runs for him so far this season.
And Cleveland beat Tampa 4-2 to take care of all of the East teams. Again, the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by the St. Louis Bar and Grill. Alejandro Kirk ahead in the count 2-1 with Dalton Varsho out at first. That slider moments ago missing. So Kirk will take this 2-1 count. Diaz now throwing over to first to keep Varsho honest as Dalton kind of slides back into the bag on one leg. Now taking a pretty decent lead at first, Varsho. And the pitch comes in, and Kirk has a 6-game hit streak as he slaps one out to right field, and Varsho's not slowing down. He turns the corner, gets to third, and the Blue Jays have runners on the corners with 2 away.
It's a really nice swing by Alejandro Kirk, and that's something that we've seen from him really in the past 10 games that he's been hitting. Just been so consistent with that adjustment that he's made mechanically in his swing, just hanging on to the barrel and not letting go with that top hand. And this pitch looked like it was going to be a call to ball up and outside, but he stays on it, drives it out to right field. And how about that base running by Dalton Varsho? He saw that one off of the bat, looked and saw it drop in right field and did not hesitate rounding second base, and that's what allows him to make it all the way to third on that base hit to right field.
It brings up Davis Schneider now with a runner in scoring position with 2 on. And the first pitch outside on the slider. It's 1-0. It was way outside and down low, but it looked like for a second Ryan Addison kind of put the fist in the air like he was calling a strike. That's why I hesitated for a second. The 1-0 delivery, and Schneider got underneath it, but it's going to make its way into the stands about 7-8 rows deep down toward the right field corner. So the count sits at 1-1. Eric Smith and Madison Shipman with you in the Timber Mart broadcast booth in the top of the 4th inning. The Blue Jays trailing 3-1. But they've got 2 on with 2 out. Schneider walked in his first at bat back in the 2nd inning. And the 1-1 pitch looked like it was outside, but they give Diaz the call as the knuckle curve dropped in, and now Schneider down 1-2.
It's that low part of the zone, especially low and away to some of these batters, that you're just not sure what's going to be called for a ball, what's going to be called for a strike. And especially in a 2-strike count now, you've got to protect.
And Schneider swings at the 1-2, sends it to right field. On the run to make the grab is Corbin Carroll, and the Jays leave 2 on. So the score stays at 3-1 Arizona as the Diamondbacks will come up in the bottom of the 4th next. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
So, you want to be a loony dogger, eh? Are you the relish ringleader, 7th inning snacker, TikTok topper, or ketchup king? Every Tuesday, Blue Jays home game is Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's. You'll have the opportunity to purchase $1 hot dogs from various concession stands around Rogers Center. Then show the world your Looney Dog style. Because whether you're the home run hound or value virtuoso, no Blue Jays game is complete without hot dogs. So don't miss out on this delicious deal. Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's building center. Visit timbermart.ca.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Next pitch, Moniak takes off. It's low a ball, throw down to second. They got him!
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Getting set to start the bottom of the 4th inning. The Blue Jays trailing the Diamondbacks 3-1. Toronto with 3 hits, 1 run. The Diamondbacks 4 hits, but 3 runs. They scored 1 in the first, 2 in the second, went scoreless last inning, but they were threatening after getting the first 2 batters on base. And they'll try to get things rolling again here in the 4th inning. Jose Berrios hoping to stop that as Alec Thomas will lead things off for the Diamondbacks, the number 8 hitter. The left-handed hitting center fielder swings at the first pitch, sends it out to second, picked up by Horwitz over to first, and there's 1 down.
I was just thinking, too, this would be a great inning for Jose Berrios to have a very quick outing to try to keep that pitch count within reach to see if he can stretch this start out to possibly 6 innings. But in order to do that, he's going to have to do something about that pitch count climbing higher and higher. And one way to do it is 1 pitch, 1 out.
61 pitches now here with 1 out in the 4th inning. And it brings up the number 9 hitter, the switch hitting catcher, Jose Herrera. Batting from the left side against the righty Berrios. Down low, inside, missing on the sinker. It's 1-0. Herrera had a single in his first at-bat. And the next pitch came in for a strike on that outside edge. It's 1-1. Blue Jays down by 2 in the 4th inning. 3-1 is the score. The 1-1 pitch. And Herrera ripped one down the right field line into the stands about 10, maybe 12 rows deep toward the corner. Tough grab for a fan to make as it bounces around, but somebody came up with the souvenir, and now it's a 1-2 count.
Heard a lot of cheering down that right field line, so I'm wondering if it ricocheted and somebody made a nice catch down there. I don't know.
So,
typically
maybe.
When the crowd erupts, that means something good has happened in the stands.
And a broken bat. Single base hit up into center field for Herrera. The Diamondbacks have a man on now with 1 away.
Jose Berrios has hurt himself at times with giving up a couple of free passes, maybe leaving some pitches over the heart of the plate, but he's also had some tough luck at times too, and that was a well-located changeup, broke his bat, and he still managed to find a way to drop that thing out to center field for a base hit.
Seems like a lot of these base hits have come with 2 strikes as well. Berrios has yet to register a strikeout in this ball game. Came in with 87 strikeouts on the season and hasn't been able to sit down any Arizona batters yet.
That's a good point, too. Maybe if the ball is just a little bit further outside on that changeup, then possibly it doesn't make it out to center field, but it's a fly out to somebody in the middle infield.
Back-to-back changeups to Carroll. Corbin Carroll, the right fielder, both no good. And now Berrios down in the count. It's 2-0 to Carroll.
I do think you're seeing both pitchers adjust to the low part of the strike zone that really has maybe been called at times, maybe not been called at times, especially with the upper part of the zone being as fluid as we've seen it. You see him continue to try to adjust with those pitches down.
And the sinker no good now. And Corbin Carroll, the right fielder, ahead in the count 3-0. The pitch from Berrios outside, 4 straight balls, and again for a third straight inning, 2 on. Now it's not the first 2. He at least got the strike to Alec Thomas, or excuse me, the ground out to Thomas to start the inning. But 2 on for the Diamondbacks. They have threatened in every inning thus far in this game.
And now you're having to deal with Marte, Peterson, and Walker with a couple of runners on base. Corbin Carroll drawing that walk now with Herrera on base in front of him. You're not going to see Corbin Carroll try to steal. But still here, see if they can get an opportunity to roll up a double play up the middle.
So Marte walked and scored in the first inning. He grounded out to short in the second inning. This is third bat already here in the fourth inning with Arizona leading 3-1. And Marte just ripped one past Spencer Horwitz into right field. Picked up by Springer, and coming around to score is Herrera. Advancing to third is Carroll. Runners on the corners with just 1 away.
Just feels like the way that the Diamondbacks are hitting Berrios today, it feels like they're 1 pitch ahead of what he's throwing. And this is a great piece of hitting by Marte because he hit that hard ground ball up the middle on the changeup. So you can bet that Jose Berrios probably isn't going to throw him a changeup early in the count. Goes with that 4-seam fastball. And Marte just hammers that thing right past Horwitz at second base out to right field to bring across another run.
Pretty good wheels there from the catcher Herrera as well, because that was hit so hard and Springer was right on it, and Herrera easily scored from second.
110 miles per hour off the bat of Marte on that base hit. Got a really good jump and kind of took a chance too, because I thought for a second off of the bat Horwitz was going to have a shot to make a play, but I think that one was just hit way too hard for him to be able to try to stop it at all.
Pete Walker with a visit out to the mound. The entire infield coming in to chat with Berrios as well as they kind of map out a plan here, or at least hope to. With Jock Peterson coming up, runners on the corners, 1 out. So the double play ball for now at least is in play. The Jays trailing now 4-1. Berrios in his last 6 starts, the ERA is up over 6.25, 6.26 to be exact. So after the hot start to the season, he's certainly come down to earth a little bit here over the last month plus. First pitch to Peterson is good. It's a fastball clocked at 93, the count 0-1. So Marte at first and Corbin Carroll at third. 4-1 Arizona. They scored 1 in the first, 2 in the second, threatened in the third but got nothing, and here they are again in the third, back on the scoreboard with another run, and it could be much more with only 1 out.
A lot of long innings, a lot of long at-bats, too, finding their way deep into the count and fighting back from 1-2, 0-2 counts.
The 0-2 to Peterson is fouled off up and over the backstop, so we'll do it again at 0-2. And here's another 2-strike count, right?
You're seeing that pitch count continue to climb further and further up. And to the Diamondbacks' credit, they've been very selective with 2 strikes, too. They've taken a couple of borderline pitches, but also there have been times where Berrios is missing well outside of the zone.
This will be the 75th pitch thrown. Down in the dirt. Nice job there by Kirk to get on that one. And now sits at 1-2.
That was a changeup, too, and where Alejandro Kirk was set up with Peterson being a lefty, he wanted that changeup to break down and away from him, and he had to dive back across his body, low and inside, down in the dirt by Jock Peterson's feet to make a stop on that.
The 1-2 pitch. They tried to come in inside on Peterson again. He fouls it off and pushes it down the third base side up and over the dugout for the Diamondbacks. Made it into about the second row. We'll do it again at 1-2. Jock Peterson, 1 for 1 in this ball game with a double and a hit by pitch. The 1-2 way outside from Berrios, missing on the fastball. It's 2-2. Berrios shakes off the first sign from Kirk. Likes what he sees on the second one. Here's the delivery, and Peterson got underneath it, and he skies it out towards short. Out in shallow left field. It's picked up by Jimenez, and now he charges in with the ball to hold Corbin Carroll at third. There's 2 away.
Much better location for that changeup. Maybe a little bit further up in the zone than Berrios would have preferred it, but because it was up and off the plate outside, Peterson was well out in front on that swing. A very drastic adjustment from the changeup we saw earlier in that at-bat that had missed low and inside in the dirt to Jock Peterson.
This brings up Christian Walker, 1 for 2 in the ball game. The right-handed bat of Walker. He singled in his last plate appearance, which was just last inning. Ultimately got stranded on. Looking to do some damage right here. Runners on the corners. 2 out. And Arizona leading 4-1. Berrios missing with a slurve. Walker looked like he offered at that as he tried to dance out of the way, but they go down to first. And umpire Gabe Morales says, no, that was a ball, not a strike. Walker hitting .263 on the season. And again, a lot of power in that bat. Berrios stepping off the rubber. Walker steps out of the box, and now both reset. And here we go, the 1-0 pitch from Berrios. And it's fouled off up and over the backstop on the slurve. Count now sits at 1-1. Jays have given up 1 in this inning, but they're hoping to limit it at just the 1 with 2 on. Arizona threatening and already leading 4-1 here in the bottom of the 4th. Walker staring down Berrios. The 1-1 pitch. Fouls another one straight back into the net. It's now 1-2.
Seen a lot of foul balls too. Especially with 2 strikes, it seems like we're seeing the same at-bat over and over again, where the Diamondbacks are just getting enough of these pitches to see another one and waiting until they can get something they can get more barrel on and try to make something happen here. But that pitch count just keeps going up and up.
So Berrios trying to get out of the inning right here. The 1-2 pitch outside, taking a big lead at third was Carroll, and Kirk tried to throw down quickly. Clement was nowhere near the bag. But obviously trying to keep Carroll honest there as he was dancing down the line. Count now sits at 2-2.
Seen a couple of times in this inning, first by Jose Berrios and just now by Ernie Clement, them pointing to their hats. I wonder if they're not hearing something with the pitch comm on those plays.
The 2-2 pitch outside. Walker held off on the slurve and now fights the count to 3-2.
Berrios looking a bit frustrated after missing low and outside with that slurve, kicking his cleats into the mound. Wants a fresh baseball as well.
Walker digs in. Berrios comes set. Looks out at second to Marte. The 3-2 pitch. Low and outside, and it'll be a free pass to Walker. The bases are loaded.
Clearly just one of the days for Jose Berrios where he's not getting that feel for any one of his pitches. We've seen him at times this year, especially at the beginning part of the year, where he had a feel for every single pitch that he throws, whether it was the slurve or the changeup, the sinker, the four-seam fastball, where he was able to nail locations left and right. And tonight you could tell that he is just fighting it every single at-bat, trying to figure out a way to get these guys out.
On his bobblehead night, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. comes up with the bases juiced, and he looks at a sinker pretty much down Main Street, clocked at 94. It's an 0-1 count. Gurriel steps out for a moment, takes a deep breath, and now comes back into the box, getting set for the 0-1 delivery. In his career with the bases loaded, a .397 average with 6 home runs. Look out. The 0-1 pitch. Sends it down on the left field side, or the third base side, I guess I should say, and it crashes around into the camera bay. You probably heard it from our field microphones, and he's now down on the count 0-2.
Similar situation here, another 0-2 count. We'll see what Gurriel Jr. does falling behind.
He's 0 for 2 in the ballgame. Would love to end that skid right here. The 0-2 pitch from Berrios. It's fouled off by Gurriel, and we'll do it again. .87 pitches thrown now for Berrios, and he's just trying to get out of this 4th inning. Diamondbacks leading 4-1. The 0-2 pitch, and it's punched off the handle toward first, but Berrios couldn't get to the bag in time to cover. I don't know if it was miscommunication or what, but he briefly went for the ball, then kind of tailed off, allowed Guerrero to pick it up, and then Berrios couldn't get to first in time. Vladdy tossed it underhand to Berrios, but he stepped on the bag about a half a step too late. Gurriel is safe. Another run scores. It's 5-1 Arizona, and the bases are still juiced.
Vladdy was playing well off of first base and playing deep because there were 2 strikes, and so he was going to have this ground ball all the way, but off of the bat, because it was mishit so badly by Gurriel Jr., Jose Berrios came off the mound and started running to try to field that ground ball, and I think you're exactly right, just that slight bit of miscommunication, both of them going for the baseball for that brief second, and that's all it took for Lourdes Gurriel Jr. to beat that one out.
It's now 5-1 Arizona as Geraldo Perdomo comes up, and the first pitch caught the inside edge for Berrios. He gets the strike on the fastball, 0-1. Bases loaded for Perdomo. He doesn't have a homer this year, but could that change? No. He sends it on a ride to the track, and Springer makes the grab and finally gets the Blue Jays out of this inning. But Arizona scores again. They get 2 in the inning to now lead 5-1 as we go to the 5th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Some days, you're the main character. Other days, you're the villain. The Pop-Off, a channel of nothing but fierce ladies representing the next wave of pop stardom. Tyla, Chaperone, Sabrina Carpenter, and more. Plus exclusive songs and stories from Ray, featured all week long. The Pop-Off, on now. For a limited time on Channel 105 or listen anytime on the SiriusXM app.
It's fantasy football season, because we say it is.
Travis Kelce, touchdown!
From fantasy football strategies to players you need to draft or avoid.
Christian McCaffrey is one of the riskiest #1 overall picks in fantasy football history.
Fantasy Sports Radio is your home to win.
There is no bigger value today than Dak Prescott.
If you're not preparing for the 2024 fantasy football season, you're already losing. Channel 87 and on the all-new SiriusXM app.
Nobody covers the National Football League like SiriusXM NFL Radio.
Mahomes fires it late for the end zone. Caught! Touchdown!
Stay updated with the latest news leading up to training camps.
We don't care about expectations. Talk doesn't win games.
Our panel of experts is getting you ready for the 2024 season.
The more I watch this guy, the more I like him.
There's a story for every team on SiriusXM NFL Radio Channel 88 in the car and on the all-new SiriusXM app.
The Blue Jays are in flight, leading 3-0.
Blue Jays fans, this is Ross Atkins, and you're listening to Blue Jays Baseball on SiriusXM.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back, top of the 5th inning. Diaz still dealing for the Diamondbacks, and the first batter he faces in this 5th is Ernie Clement. First pitch in for a strike on a fastball, clocked at 95. And our Sportsnet TV friends showing us Jose Berrios coming out of the ball game at the end of that 4th inning. And he did not look happy.
No, he was extremely frustrated. I think that might be the most frustrated I've ever seen Jose Berrios, walking off the field, slamming his glove down into the bench in that dugout.
Jays down 5-1, and Berrios respectfully just has not had his stuff tonight.
Understandably frustrated, right?
Yeah.
It just hasn't been his A stuff. He hasn't been able to find command with any one of his pitches, and he was fighting it all game long out there.
The 1-1 pitch to Clement outside on a slider, way outside. It's now 2-1.
And the way that things always seem to work, you finally make a good pitch, and they somehow get jammed and manage to find a way to bloop in a base hit, or some dribbler goes down the first baseline. It just seemed to be that sort of day for Jose Berrios today.
Clement gets underneath it and skies it out to right field. Camping underneath it with ease is Corbin Carroll. There's one away. Fifth inning is brought to you by Desjardins Financial Group. Desjardins awarded another 150 grants worth $20,000 each to entrepreneurs across Canada. See how Desjardins cheered on small biz at goodsparkgrants.ca. Leo Jimenez comes up. Singled in the third inning. He's 1 for 1 in the ball game, but his club, the Jays, down 5-1 in the top of the fifth. Swinging at the first pitch, fouls it off, and the count sits at 0-1. Second pitch, nice slider there, caught the inside edge of the zone, and now an 0-2 count to the youngster Jimenez. Gilbert Diaz has looked real good tonight. The young righty for the Diamondbacks just threw a fastball at 97, fouled off by Jimenez. The count stays at 0-2.
It's pretty interesting, too, looking at the three-pitch mix that he's throwing. He's throwing that four-seam fastball 63% of the time so far in this ball game, and that lends itself again for the game plan for the Jays. You've got to imagine is to go up there and hunt that four-seamer, but they have not been able to make consistent adjustments against it.
Like right there on cue, Madison. 98 miles an hour, and sitting down looking is Jimenez. The strikeout sends the Jays down to their final out of this inning. There's 2 away.
Just the second strikeout of this ball game, and both of them belong to Gilbert Diaz. And now he's throwing that fastball extremely well. It's got some really good late life on it. It's coming in at 98 miles per hour. But that's what he's been able to consistently throw for strikes as he throws a first pitch ball with that slider up and outside of the zone. Just the inconsistency that you're seeing with both the slider and that knuckle curve. I wouldn't want to mess around with either one of those pitches until I had to, until I got into a 2-strike count. So why not hunt that fastball?
And it looked like another ball way outside, but they say Springer swung at it. And I believe that Mark Baczynski just got tossed from the game. It looked like it might have been a joke. Gabe Morales had a huge smile on his face. And was it Baczynski or was it Schneider from the dugout? Somebody got tossed.
Was that Jose Berrios that came out of the dugout?
It might have been. Now that you say it, somebody just got tossed.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait until we get another look at this one. But I totally agree with you. It looked like he was smiling down at first base, so I thought it was a joke, and then he started to motion that somebody was getting tossed out of the game, and all of a sudden you saw John Schneider come running out of the dugout.
Well, Baczynski's still on the field, so it wasn't him. It wasn't Schneider because he's still back in the dugout. It was Chris Bassett. Bassett came out of the dugout barking at Gabe Morales, and Bassett, of course not even pitching, is tossed and head back to the showers. And Springer just sent a deep fly ball out to right field. Camping underneath it is Carroll to make the final out. Let's talk about it when we come back, because that's a confusing sequence of events.
Strange.
We'll chat about it in a moment. Jays trailing 5-1. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
It's fantasy football season, because we say it is.
Travis Kelce, touchdown!
From fantasy football strategies to players you need to draft or avoid.
Christian McCaffrey is one of the riskiest number one overall picks in fantasy football history.
Fantasy Sports Radio is your home to win.
There is no bigger value today than Dak Prescott.
If you're not preparing for the 2024 fantasy football season, you're already losing. Channel 87 and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
You love listening to baseball. You love talking about baseball, and so do we. That's why SiriusXM has the only channel on the radio dedicated to baseball 24/7. It's MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89. News, opinions, passionate baseball talk from former players and GMs, plus interviews with players, managers, and executives, original specials, and much, much, much more. All baseball, every day, on your radio. If you can hear me right now, you've got MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89, and on the SiriusXM app. You love listening to baseball. You love talking about baseball. You love yelling at your buddies about baseball because they love baseball, and so do we. That's why SiriusXM has the only channel on the radio dedicated to baseball 24/7. It's MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89. News, opinions, passionate baseball talk from former players and GMs, plus interviews with players, managers, and executives, and much, much, much more. If you can hear me right now, you've got MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89, and on the SiriusXM app.
Hey everyone, it's Justin Turbin at your 24/7 home for hoops all year long is SiriusXM NBA Radio Channel 86 and the SiriusXM app. Just search NBA Radio.
Radio Network.
Bottom of the fifth inning, Blue Jays trailing 5-1, and the night is done for Jose Berrios, Bowden Francis coming into the ballgame. But let's go back to the top of the fifth there and the sequence of events with first base umpire Gabe Morales and Chris Bassett.
Yeah, so there were a couple of check swing calls that I think could have gone either way. I think there was 3 that have been called against the Blue Jays in today's game, and that's exactly why Chris Bassett came out of the dugout after Moreno had called George Springer for a swing on the check swing. All of a sudden you saw Chris Bassett come out and start chirping, and then immediately he gets tossed out of the ball game.
And it looked like Morales was having fun with it, and that's why I originally thought that it was just maybe a fun back and forth with either Mark Budzinski at first or with a fan even. But then when I saw the ejection sign, that's my initial thought was, well, the guy standing right beside him is, of course, the first base coach. So Budzinski's gone, and then, of course, our cameras catch that it was Bassett who walked right out onto the field and was barking at him big time. Well, Francis, as we tried to clean up what happened in the fifth, just got a big strikeout to start the inning. And in fact, it's the first strikeout for the Jays against the Diamondbacks here in this game as he sits down Gino Suarez. There's one down here in the bottom of the fifth.
I still thought he was jokingly tossing out a fan.
Yeah.
Just from what we saw, but clearly not a joke.
And Thomas jumps on the first pitch, sends it on a ride deep to center. Back right at the wall, not against the wall, about a foot in front of it is Dalton Varsho to make the grab. There's 2 away. The injury report is brought to you by Bergmanis Prera Personal Injury Lawyers. If life has thrown you a curveball and you're striking out with your insurance company, get ahead of the count and call Bergmanis Prera Personal Injury Lawyers. You focus on getting better, and Bergmanis Prera will take care of the rest. Visit bplawyers.ca. We did get word tonight that Jimmy Garcia is getting set to join the team. He's flying to Arizona to join the team. Depends on when he gets there. And maybe he'll see some action tomorrow. But right now, the Jays need all the help they can get with their bullpen.
Well, and I still think that last night was a prime example of just how badly the Blue Jays are missing some of those pieces from the back end of their bullpen. Somebody like a Jimmy Garcia, and of course the season that started off for him, he was so great coming into that closing role. But a situation like last night, you really wish that you could have had somebody else to be able to come in and finish off that game, and especially with as taxed as the back end of this bullpen is right now because of all the injuries.
And we're seeing the bullpen right now with Francis coming in the fifth inning after Jose Berrios struggled mightily tonight. Another quick injury note, Bo Bichette was doing some stuff inside today. There's a chance, allegedly, that he could potentially play tomorrow, but with the final game before the break, you would guess that he probably doesn't.
I would say play it safe, especially going into the break. Give him a couple of extra days just to make sure that everything is feeling the way that it should heading into the second half after the All-Star break. So I say why not? Go ahead and rest him as much as you possibly can.
2 down here in the bottom of the fifth, and Jose Herrera ahead in the count 2-1. Francis with the delivery outside. It's 3-1. Eric Smith and Madison Shipman with you in the Timber Mart broadcast booth, with the Blue Jays down by 4. Herrera 2 for 2 tonight. The average on the season up to 353 for the catcher. And the next pitch in for a strike caught the upper half of the zone. It's now a full count at 3-2.
It's not too often that you see a player being ejected from the game, but I just wonder if that's all the frustrations of this team in general at this point in the season, just kind of boiling over in that moment for Chris Bassett.
Herrera slaps at the 3-2, sends it down opposite field, left field side in foul territory, but Schneider couldn't get to it as he slides into the wall, but the ball bounced well ahead of Schneider's slide, so still life in the lungs for Herrera, the number 9 hitter in the Diamondbacks lineup, trying to get on to bring up the top of the order. 1 in the first, 2 in the second, 2 more in the fourth for Arizona, and that is their 5-1 lead. Francis trying to get out of this inning cleanly and go 1-2-3 for the first time in this game, as Berrios again struggled in all 4 innings, but this inning will be extended right now as Francis just walked Herrera.
The walks just continue to be a problem really in the past 2 games. They've come back to haunt pretty much every pitcher that's issued them for the Blue Jays in the past 2 games, and now with 2 away, trying to see if Bowden Francis can find a way to get out of this inning, now having to deal with the top half of the order all over again for the Diamondbacks.
Corbin Carroll for the 4th at bat, and it's just the 5th inning. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game. And the first pitch comes in on a nasty looking curveball, and Carroll tried to hold back. He didn't even swing, but that curveball hit his bat, and luckily for him went into foul territory down the third base line. He's down on the count 0-1.
With his speed, I don't know if it was luckily for him or luckily for the Blue
Good
Jays
point.
because
Yep.
if that thing was in fair territory, he would have had a shot to beat that one out.
2 out, bottom 5. Francis comes set. Here's the pitch. And it's fouled straight back by Carroll and down 0-2. Out of town scoreboard brought to you by the St. Louis Bar and Grill. Detroit comes back to beat the Dodgers in 10 today, 11-9. The Dodgers led 9-4 going into the 9th inning, and the Tigers scored 5 in the bottom of the 9th and then won it on a 2-run shot in the 10th inning. Again, 11-9 Detroit with the win. Another one I can tell you about, Pittsburgh beating the White Sox 6-2. The 0-2 delivery to Carroll. High, 1-2. Fastball clocked at 92.
A couple of home runs late in the game for Detroit to come back and win that ball game. They are kind of a scrappy team. They find their way to come back in a lot of games so far this year, but that one by far was the biggest deficit that they've come back from.
And that next pitch that just came in, the splitter at 84, fouled off by Carroll, and it looked like it caught Alejandro Kirk in a portion of his leg that might not have been completely covered by his shin guards. Kirk still trying to stretch out that left leg. Home plate umpire Ryan Addison giving Kirk a little bit of time here to make sure he's okay. Everything seems to be fine now. Down in the crouch. The 1-2 from Francis fouled off again as Carroll continues to battle here. Looked like it was going to be a fairly quick inning for Francis after getting the strikeout and then the flyout to center from Suarez and Thomas respectively, and now he's up to 16 pitches thrown here trying to get out of this inning and deal with Carroll. Herrera on first. The 1-2 pitch, no good on a curve. It's 2-2.
This at-bat's just another example of the way that the Diamondbacks have been able to extend at-bats after falling behind early and fouling off the close ones, even some that are missing over the heart of the plate, but then being very disciplined on the ones that are missing outside of the zone, like that last curveball that bounced down in the dirt, low and inside to Carroll.
The 2-2 pitch, and that one skied up toward the backstop, and it stayed in play, bobbled by Kirk, and he tried to barehand it and bobbled it a second time.
These plays are never easy for the catchers because they're having to run back behind them, but also there's so much backspin on those balls off of the bat that are going back behind home plate. It can be difficult for them to track it down. He almost overran this one, tried to make up for it. It hits him right in the glove and then pops out. He tries to barehand it, hits him right in the palm of the hand too. And 2 opportunities there, and that ball finds its way down to the grass, and Corbin Carroll has another shot.
And Carroll skied it again, this time out to third, and this should be an easy one for Ernie Clement. Camps underneath it, makes the grab, and the Jays do get out of the inning. Arizona doesn't score any, but they still lead 5-1 as we head to the 6th. You are listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
We're 2 men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think 2 men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're 2 men and a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
This is the beginning of a new era.
City TV has the smoldering new season of The Bachelorette.
This is the moment.
Jen Tran is ready for love. And this time, the power is in her hands.
I feel more confident than ever.
Watch the roses fly and the petals fall.
I feel like the main character in my own love story.
The Bachelorette, all new Mondays 8/7 Central on City TV, or stream it on City TV Plus.
Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm
Hey, this is Kevin Kiermaier. You're listening to Toronto Blue Jays Baseball on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Every day I'm hustling.
6th inning is brought to you by Desjardins Financial Group. Desjardins is a big fan of small biz. That's why they awarded another $3 million to small business owners across the country. See how Desjardins cheered on small biz this year at goodsparkgrants.ca. Jays down 5-1 to start this 6th inning. It's Spencer Horwitz who comes up. And the first pitch, a fastball, no good. It's a ball to Horwitz, 1-0. Spencer 0 for 2 tonight with a flyout and a strikeout. And the 1-0 pitch in for a strike. The fastball clocked at 95. Pretty much down Main Street. It's 1-1. Diaz still in the ball game, pitching very well tonight. Just threw his 77th pitch, and a slider good for a strike, and Horwitz down 1-2. Spencer now asks for time, steps out for a moment, adjusts his helmet, regrips the bat, and steps back into the box. Diaz for a moment reached down, picked up that rosin bag. He comes onto the rubber and set with the 1-2. Here's the pitch. And Horwitz turns on it, sends it into right field. It's going to make its way past Carroll and right. Horwitz on the move to second, and he's going to be standing at second with the double. Am I wrong that I mean, his Jets might not be clearly as quick as Dalton Varsho, but he seemed content with the double, and Carroll was taking some time to get to that ball out in right field.
Yeah, he definitely smoked that one off of the bat, and he busted hard straight out of the batter's box. And I wonder, as he was rounding first base, if he read it that he wasn't going to have a shot to get to third base, because he had his eyes on it the entire time as he was rounding first. But that's just another example of a professional at bat, in my opinion, by Spencer Horwitz. And we talked about how often Diaz has been throwing that fastball, but when he does throw the breaking balls, he has had a tendency to throw them back to back. So after getting that slider called for a strike the pitch before, he goes after that curveball and smokes it for a double.
And now he just threw a fastball that Herrera was unable to squeeze, but yet he jumped on it and still threw at Horwitz, who was trying to advance to third. What a play by Jose Herrera. Now Spencer's still standing at third, wondering if the Jays are going to challenge this or not. That was a very fortuitous bounce for Herrera. It came right back off the back wall, right into his glove, and he threw a dart to third base.
Yeah, this ball bounced so hard off of that backstop straight back to Herrera, and we're getting another look as Spencer Horwitz is diving into third base, and it looks like it's the correct call on the field. That perfect throw and the great tag applied clearly in time before Horwitz touched third base.
And that's a backbreaker for the Jays as a leadoff double is now wiped out. So there's one down with nobody on, and Guerrero at the plate, even in the count at 1-1.
Trying to figure out how that ball bounced so hard back to Herrera. It looks like plexiglass maybe behind home plate.
And Vladdy skies one out to right field. It makes it up into the stands about 8 rows deep, takes a big bounce. And Vladdy now trails in the count 1-2. Bryce Jarvis, the right-hander, is up in the bullpen for the Diamondbacks. The 1-2 pitch. Vladdy sends it out to short. Nice snag there by Perdomo as it took an awkward hop on him, and he just flashed the leather, made the grab, whipped it to first to get Guerrero. There are 2 away.
Vladdy went after the slider there, and he was out in front, so he got this one off of the end of the bat, and because of that, it took a really funny mid-hop on Perdomo, who decides to go with the swipe backhand and came up with that one easily. Another example of the good defense that you're going to see from these Diamondbacks.
The out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by the St. Louis Bar and Grill. The Mets beat the Rockies 7-3. Texas over Houston 2-1. That was a final in 10. Cincinnati with a 10-6 victory over Miami. First pitch to Justin Turner. Fastball in for a strike and an 0-1 count. And the second pitch, a little bit outside. Herrera tried to frame it and pull it back, but Ryan Addison having none of that. The home plate umpire, it's now 1-1. And the next pitch real close on an inside slider. It's 2-1.
Interesting at bat so far for Justin Turner, because the first one that was called for a strike, it was a four-seam fastball I thought was definitely a ball, low and out of the zone, and now these last two look like strikes, but both of them have been called for balls.
And now 3-1, missing on a fastball. So Turner trying to get on with Varsho coming up next. Varsho with a triple and a walk in this ball game. Here's the 3-1. And Turner just turned on it. Sends it out to left field. Back at the wall. Making the grab is Gurriel as he ends the inning. I thought that had a chance to go, but right up against the wall. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. makes the play, and the Jays are retired. Down to the bottom of the sixth we go. Arizona still leading 5-1. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Everything is bigger in Texas.
Way back and gone. That's a home run for Ohtani.
SiriusXM brings you MLB All-Star Week.
Aaron Judge, 2-run homer.
MLB Network Radio will be covering all the bases, from the MLB Draft to on-site coverage of the Home Run Derby and a 94th All-Star Game.
This is Smokey Betts. I'm Adley Rashford.
Hear from baseball's best during All-Star Week. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6 Eastern on SiriusXM, Channel 89, and the all-new SiriusXM app.
Are you regretting eating that gas station hot dog? Yeah, we know. We've been there too. This is a message for baseball fans like you. Did you know that you get a channel that's talking baseball 24/7 as part of your SiriusXM subscription?
What?
Our lineup includes shows hosted by former big leaguers and executives. Plus, you'll hear from 17 managers each week. MLB Network Radio is on SiriusXM Channel 89, or just search MLB Network Radio on the SXM app. SiriusXM Sports. We're more than just a game. The most important person in sports is you, the fan.
Let me tell you something. I'm a
real fans.
And your place for sports talk is Mad Dog Sports Radio, where your voice is heard all day long.
I couldn't wait to get into the truck, turn on 82.
Sharing the thrill of victory.
The joy, the jubilation. I can't stop smiling.
And the agony of defeat.
When is this franchise going to realize people really care about this?
Passionate sports fans call 888-MAD-DOG-6.
You gotta love sports.
Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82, or anytime on the Sirius XM app.
24/7, 365 coverage of all things NASCAR. All things NASCAR happens exclusively on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back, bottom of the 6th, and the Diamondbacks leading 5-1. Bowden Francis still on the bump for the Jays. Looked pretty good in the last inning when he came in relief of Jose Berrios. Faced 4 batters. Did not allow the Diamondbacks to get on the board. Arizona with 1 in the first, 2 in the second, 2 in the fourth. Again, there's that 5 runs and the 5-1 lead. Ketel Marte, the first batter, seeing 2 straight balls from Francis and now ahead in the count 2-0. Francis gets the sign from Kirk, and down Main Street with a fastball in for a strike. It's 2-1. Eric Smith and Madison Shipman with you in the Timbermart broadcast booth. Midway through this ball game, Jays down by 4. Another fastball, this one well high, and it's now 3-1 to Marte.
Last thing you want to do is give up a free pass here in the bottom of the 6th to Ketel Marte to start off this inning. The middle of the order for the Diamondbacks coming up. You've got to make a good pitch here.
And that catches the edge, the outer part of the edge, on another fastball. It's 3-2. Same spot, different result. That certainly looked like a strike, and Francis misses allegedly with a fastball at 94, and Marte gets on to start the inning.
Those are the pitches up in the zone that definitely look like they are clipping at least part of the strike zone, but it's not a pitch that we've seen called consistently all game long. And although you don't want to miss something over the plate to Ketel Marte, still, I think if he would have brought that pitch just a little bit lower, I think he would have been able to get it called for a strike.
Jock Peterson steps in now. And the first pitch, a fastball in for a strike, an 0-1 count to Peterson. He's 1 for 2 in this ball game. Francis looks over at first at Marte. Here's the 0-1 and a sweeping curveball, swing and a miss from Peterson. It's 0-2.
Peterson completely fooled on that pitch. Even had to take a second to walk outside of the batter's box and regroup after being so far out in front on that swing.
Marte does have 4 stolen bases on the season. He's been caught only once. So we'll see if he's taking off at any point. Standing on first with the walk issued moments ago.
I'm going to be watching, too, to see if Bowden Francis can finish off this at-bat after getting ahead 0-2. Because that seems to be a common theme and a problem for the Blue Jays pitchers today, both Berrios and Francis at times when he came in that 5th inning, getting ahead but not being able to finish off the at-bats.
Francis looking over at first to Marte. The leg kick, the delivery, tried to go inside on Peterson. He turned on it and sends it deep down the right field line. It would have been a homer, but he missed it by about 10-20 feet. Went on the wrong side of the pole for him. And we'll do it again at 0-2.
Absolutely hammers this 4-seam fastball. He tucked his hands close into his body to do whatever he could to try to keep that ball fair. And luckily for Bowden Francis, that thing just curved right in front of that foul pole.
The 0-2 pitch. Tried to paint the outside edge. Missed it by a couple of ball widths. Fastball at 94. No good. It's 1-2. Marte still at first. Jays down 5-1, bottom 6. Francis looks over at Marte at first. And here's the 1-2 pitch. And it's low inside, but it's sent out on a golf swing to right field. Picked up by George Springer, who gets it in a hurry. And now 2 on to start this inning for the Diamondbacks.
Another 2-strike hit for Arizona as well. This is a splitter that's low and out of the zone. Definitely would have been called for a ball, but it's a great piece of hitting by Jock Peterson. He just drops his barrel behind him and gets long and extended and just drops that ball out into right field. After pulling the fastball hard up and inside, it's a really good adjustment on that swing to be able to hit that splitter down in the zone.
5 runs on now 8 hits for the Diamondbacks. Here in the bottom of the 6th, they've got 2 on to start the inning again, which they've done 3 times in 6 innings. We'll see if they can score again. None out, first and second. And Walker up at the plate now. Christian Walker skies one, and it's going to make its way about 10-15 rows deep into the stands. He's down on the count 0-1. Zach Pop up in the Blue Jay bullpen. Walker 1 for 2 in the ball game. Grounded out in his first at bat, singled in the 3rd, and then walked in the 4th. Marte at 2nd, Peterson at 1st. The 0-1 pitch to Walker. Outside, down in the dirt, and blocked well by Kirk. That curveball no good. It's 1-1. Walker with 66 runs batted in on the season, and there's a couple sitting out there for him right now, one of them in scoring position. Francis looks out at Marte. The pitch, and Walker just turned on one. He sent it for a ride, but it's way foul into the second deck, and a fan making a nice grab in that front row. Walker down in the count 1-2.
Barehanded grab, one-handed grab too, getting high fives all around down that left field line.
Walker's 22 home runs. Good for a 7th place tie in Major League Baseball, but not an all-star. The 1-2 pitch. And he sends one out to left field, but room for Schneider to make the grab, kind of on a sinking liner. Davis makes the play, tosses it in. There's one away.
I like those pitch calls there, going back-to-back-to-back curveballs to Christian Walker, and he got a hold of that one pretty well, but because it was low in the zone, he wasn't able to get complete barrel on it. The nice job by Bowden Francis to finish off Christian Walker in that at-bat.
5-1 Arizona leading. Bottom of the 6th, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. comes up. 1 for 3 in the ball game with an RBI single in his last at-bat. Couple out there for him right now, 1 in scoring position. Still first and second with 1 down. Francis looks out at Marte at second base. Now turns and fires inside on Gurriel. 1-0 count. Francis now up to 34 pitches thrown through the 2 innings. Obviously not 2 full innings. He came in back in the 5th. Gurriel fouls off the next pitch. Even in the count now, 1-1.
Vladdy made his way all the way over to that fence down the right field line, just trying to see if he could track that one down to get an out. Always seems that Vladdy has a smile on his face.
He's having fun.
Cracking jokes with somebody as he's running back to first base.
I'm going to guess that it's not Gabe Morales, the first base umpire.
We know what happens when you try to do that.
Gurriel certainly looked like he went after that one, and Gabe Morales says no. Whatever. I got to assume everybody's biting their tongue in the Blue Jay dugout right now. I thought he broke his wrist, but what do I know?
I can tell you one thing. I know Chris Bassett's probably not happy about that call.
Gurriel now ahead in the count, 2-1. Francis looks out at Marte at second, turns and fires to Alejandro Kirk, and Gurriel popped it up. An infield pop-up, camping underneath it out at second is Spencer Horwitz to make the grab. There's 2 away.
Really nice pitch there by Bowden Francis, riding that fastball in on the hands. It almost looked like Alejandro Kirk was wanting that pitch on the outside part of the plate. But if you're going to miss, you want to miss on that edge of the zone, and he gets out number 2 with that fly ball.
It brings up Geraldo Perdomo with 2 on, 2 out. The first 2 in this inning got on, but Arizona has been unable to advance either runner. Marte at second, Peterson at first. The left-handed bat of Perdomo. First pitch outside, no good. 1-0 count. Perdomo 0 for 2 in the ballgame. Did walk and score in his first at bat back in the second inning. Francis looks out at Marte. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and Perdomo sends it out to right on a line right at Springer. That's the third out, and Arizona will go to the seventh with a 5-1 lead. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
We're 2 men in a truck, the movers who care. You never know when cardiac arrest can happen. That's why each and every one of our trucks carries a life-saving Mikey defibrillator as part of our Mikey on Board program. Whether we're on the highway or in front of your house, we're prepared to help anyone whose heart may skip a beat. The Mikey Network has saved many lives, making Mikey's accessible to the public. And now they're on board our trucks. We're 2 men in a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
If you're looking for a fun day, did you know the day before Monday? Junior J Sunday. You can paint your face. Come and meet Ace and run base to base. On Junior J Sunday. So many things to do. You can bring your crew and even mom and dad too. Junior J Sunday.
Sundays are for Junior Jays. Get to the ballpark early to enjoy outdoor activities before continuing the fun inside while you cheer on the Blue Jays.
If you're feeling the song, grab your dad or mom. Visit BlueJays.com. Junior J Sunday.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
A game-tying blast from Bo Bichette.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Getting set to start this seventh inning, the Blue Jays still trailing 5-1. As Dalton Varsho will lead things off for Toronto. And the night is done for Yilbert Diaz as Bryce Jarvis comes into the ball game. And what a performance tonight from the youngster Diaz.
Looked really solid again tonight in just his second start in the major leagues, but really continued to pump in that fastball all game long. Had pretty good command with it too. At times it would get a little bit further out of the zone. He struggled at times with that curveball and the slider, but for the most part did a really solid job of holding the Toronto Blue Jays down during this ball game.
The 0-1 pitch to Dalton Varsho. No good on a changeup. Now pulling even in the count at 1-1. Jarvis sends in a changeup that Varsho just sent down the right field line. It goes off the netting and ricochets back into the field of play. And Varsho down in the count 1-2. Blue Jays trailing 5-1, top of the seventh. The pitch from Jarvis. High outside. It's 2-2.
Jarvis came in and threw against the Blue Jays in game one. I was going to say yesterday, but technically in the Eastern time zone, that was 2 days ago when Bryce Jarvis came in to face the Blue Jays.
Swing and a miss, and Varsho sits down to start this seventh inning.
A couple of four-seam fastballs in this at-bat and a couple of changeups. He did not throw a changeup in his outing in game one in this series, but busted them out here 2 in a row to Dalton Varsho, and then throws that four-seam fastball at 96 miles per hour up and away to get Varsho to swing and miss.
It brings up Alejandro Kirk. Swinging at the first pitch, punches one towards right, but coming in on a line to make the grab is Corbin Carroll, and quickly 2 away.
Another pretty good swing by Alejandro Kirk there, too. Has really been swinging a hot bat up at the plate, especially when he's been able to drive the ball the opposite direction, but a bit jammed up on that 96-mile-per-hour sinker in on the hands.
And he did have a base hit to right field in his last at-bat, which extended his hit streak to 6, but the flyout right there moments ago brings up Davis Schneider with now 2 away. Jays trailing by 4, and that pitch comes way inside. Schneider had to try and contort his body out of the way, and in the process his head dipped down and his helmet went flying off. 1-0 count to Schneider.
95-mile-per-hour sinker, so you've got all that arm side run on that pitch. Schneider did everything he could to avoid getting hit by that one, including losing his helmet, as you mentioned.
The 1-0 pitch, and it's dribbled out to short by Schneider, picked up by Perdomo, over to first to Walker, and that will do it. A quick inning for the Blue Jays. They go down 1-2-3 on to the bottom of the 7th. Jays down 5-1. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between pizza and inflation. First to the plate, with over 2 million sold, it's Fixed Rate Pizza, a hot and fresh extra-large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for Fixed Rate Pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
I am by your side. Got a heart so big. On this you can rely. No mountains too tall for the strong boots to climb. I am by your side.
That was Desjardins Insurance, playing insurance with a heart so big it shows. Tune in for your auto and home coverage at desjardins.com/heart.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Fastball hit to center field. Varsho with a dive, and he makes the catch.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back. Bottom of the 7th inning, the Blue Jays trailing 5-1 to the Diamondbacks. Arizona will now get set to face Zach Pop, the right-hander coming into the ballgame, a 5.46 ERA in 33 games this season. And Pop will get set to face Suarez to start this inning.
Zach Pop's had a couple of good outings in a row, has yet to give up an earned run in each of his last 4 appearances in ball games. And the Blue Jays could definitely use a strong outing from their bullpen today to try to keep them in this one, to allow the offense a chance to come back in the ball game.
Suarez swinging at the first pitch, and Suarez sends it out to left field. And camping underneath it, plenty of room to make the grab, is Davis Schneider. And there's one down.
Not too many one-pitch, one-out plays in this ball game for the Blue Jays, but you're absolutely going to take it. The Diamondbacks have managed to find their way into a lot of 2-strike counts and still get a couple of base hits, end up drawing a walk, battling back. So a good start for Pop to get 1 out on the first pitch that he throws.
Brings up Alec Thomas, the center fielder for the Diamondbacks. Left-handed hitter against the right-hander Pop, and Pop throws in a sinker for a strike. An 0-1 count. 0 for 3 in the ballgame, Thomas. His average has dipped down to 174. Here's the 0-1. Sends it out to first. Backhanded grab by Vladdy, and then he bobbled it on the exchange. He was getting set to throw it to Pop, but he butterfingered it. And scampering down to first, and he's in there, is Alec Thomas. No throw from Vladdy.
Looked like he was going to have that one all the way, and on the transfer, he's just not able to get a good grip on this baseball. He had to run a couple of steps back behind him to his right and fielded that one on the backhand. Took a bit of a mid-hop on him, and yeah, it was on that transfer. The ball was clearly in his glove. He went to throw it and didn't get a good grip on the baseball.
It's been one of those nights for the Blue Jays. Been a few mistakes and just kind of not crisp on things.
Just seems that way in every facet of the game, too. Defensively, offensively, on the mound.
First pitch to Herrera, in for a strike. Pop with the sinker at 96, ahead in the count 0-1, and now Herrera asks for time and steps out of the box. He's had a great night thus far. 2 for 2, couple of singles. He's played well behind the plate.
Made that great throw over to third base, to get Horwitz trying to steal on that ball that shot all the way back to the backstop. Somehow made it right back to him.
The 0-1 pitch. Missing down low and outside. It's 1-1.
That play by Horwitz, too, was one of those plays. We talk about all the mistakes. I wouldn't necessarily put that one down as a mistake in my book. I think it was a low percentage play that Herrera was going to even have a shot to throw him out at third base. It was going to take a perfect bounce off of the backstop, and that's exactly what happened.
And Herrera just ripped a base hit into right field, picked up by Springer, and a 3-for-3 night for Herrera. And going first to third on that hit is Alec Thomas, so it's runners on the corners with just one down.
Along with the hits that Herrera has been able to generate, it's his ability to flip the lineup over back to the top of the order and capitalize on the mistakes that the Blue Jays defense or the pitching staff has made in today's ball game. Whether it's giving up those free passes or giving up base hits, it just seems like the Diamondbacks continue to capitalize on these opportunities.
The out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by the St. Louis Bar and Grill. Washington beating Milwaukee 6-5 earlier today, or yesterday, I suppose. And Minnesota beating San Francisco 4-2. San Diego shuts out the Braves 4-0. First pitch to Corbin Carroll, no good, outside. Missed on the sinker, and a 1-0 count. Pop looking in at the sign from Alejandro Kirk. Takes a deep breath, the delivery. And he got the call on a pitch that it might have been a little bit low, but you'll take it if you're a Blue Jay fan. A 1-1 count.
It looked like it barely clipped the strike zone, but to your point, we have not seen that pitch called really all night long for either team.
First and third for Arizona. 1 out. And the 1-1 pitch. It's skied out to left field. It's trailing and to the wall and gone. I don't know how that made it out. It just kept going. Davis Schneider was back at the wall looking up, and it just kept floating and made it into the second row. And a 3-run shot for Corbin Carroll. 8-1 Arizona.
This was a cutter that was up and out of the strike zone. And that's an area that Corbin Carroll has really struggled this year. We talked about it yesterday's ball game about how that was his sweet spot area last year, but his bat path has gotten too flat this year to get to that pitch. Well, that's clearly the adjustment that he's continuing to try to make up at the plate, and he's able to do it there going opposite field with that 2-run shot out to left field.
And Madison, to the point that you just made a couple of moments ago as well, you go back to the play that Vladimir Guerrero made or didn't make. It would have been 2 out, nobody on. Instead, it ends up becoming first and third with only 1 down and now a 3-run shot.
This whole inning right here just seems like a microcosm of this entire game. The Diamondbacks capitalizing on a mistake or one bounce that ends up going their way, taking advantage of that opportunity. And now the Blue Jays have had their shots to try to get some runs on the board too. They've only been able to manage to get 1 across, but it's been the defense at times and the pitching that just has not been as sharp today.
Marte just slapped a base hit up the middle into center field. Took that 1-1 pitch, the slider, and sent it into center field, and now he's on safely with still only 1 down here in the 7th inning. Blue Jays trailing 8-1. And the Diamondbacks have smacked 11 hits in this ball game. Jock Peterson coming up 2 for 3 in the game. He's had a good night. A double in the first, hit by a pitch, flew out to short, and then a base hit in his last at bat. He just sent one to second, picked up by Horwitz, and a nice slide there by Marte, which sort of took Jimenez out of the play. He was unable to make the throw to first. So the inning continues for Arizona.
It's a nice play by Horwitz, too, having to move a couple of steps to his left and had to throw that ball off balance back behind him to get that out at second base.
So it's now Jock Peterson at first, bringing up Christian Walker with 2 down in the bottom of the 7th. Down in the dirt, nice grab there from Kirk. 1-0. Thursday, July 25th, just come to the ballpark as the Blue Jays wrap up their series against the Rays for the 3:07 start. And it's work from Dome with work photo opportunities, dedicated work and call areas, plus an afternoon at the ballpark is a whole lot of fun. Head to bluejays.com/workfromdome for more information and get your tickets. (8-1) Blue Jays trailing the Diamondbacks here in the bottom of the 7th. A 1-1 count to Walker. Pop down in the dirt, another block from Kirk, and he picks it up, whips it back to first, trying to catch Peterson, and Vladdy had to jump off the bag to make sure he secured that ball.
Kirk has had to work really hard back behind the plate today, especially with the pitchers not nailing their strike zones like they typically do. That pitch bouncing, and he keeps it in front of him. Quick snap throw down to first base. Doing whatever he can to try to get out of this inning.
The 2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss from Walker. It's 2-2.
Good looking slider there out of the hand of Zach Pop. The one batter that they have been able to keep down for the most part in this series has been Christian Walker. It's been everybody else that's been able to do damage against them, especially tonight. Herrera in that 9 spot continuing to flip the order over has been a problem.
And now Pop just tried to come back inside on Walker, and again a ball fouled off of Alejandro Kirk, and he gets up a little bit gimpy, adjusting his padding. He has been taking a beating behind the plate tonight.
It always seems like the baseball finds a way to hit wherever there's not padding. That one looked like it hit the inside of his left knee, then ricocheted over and hit his right knee. Actually knocked that PitchCom device off of his shin guard.
The 2-2 count with 2 away here in the 7th inning. Arizona has already scored 3 to push their lead to 8-1. Pop with the delivery, again down in the dirt, another block into the chest pad of Kirk.
He's so good at that too. He makes it look easy with the way that he's able to anticipate the spin that those pitches are going to have on it and the direction in which that they're going to bounce once they do hit the dirt. You can tell the pitchers have a lot of confidence, even with runners on base, to be able to bury some of those pitches down in the zone.
Big pitch here from Zach Pop. 3-2, 2 out, man on first. And Walker sends it to short. A diving grab by Jimenez, throws it over to first. Not in time, but Vladdy, to his credit, whips it cross field. Peterson was trying to take third, and he's thrown out. A dart by Vladdy gets Toronto out of the inning, but they're down 8-1 as we go to the 8th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
If it's happening in baseball,
this was kind of a no-brainer.
The young budding superstar in Paul Skeens was named the starter for the National League All-Stars by manager Torey Lovello.
It's such a well-deserved honor for him.
It's on MLB Network Radio.
Newly minted starter Paul Skeens.
Yeah, I found out when everybody else found out. My dad was watching, and it's been great to be able to learn every single day that I've been up here.
MLB Network Radio, Sirius XM Channel 89, and on the Sirius XM app.
Before the USA Basketball Men's Olympic team headed to Paris, the team's managing director, Grant Hill, sat down for an exclusive town hall interview on Sirius XM NBA Radio, hosted by Coach K.
Coach, you've assembled rosters. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. I left people off that I love, that I'm a big, I want to tune in and watch. That was hard.
Hear our town hall interview with Grant Hill, hosted by Coach K, whenever you want with the all-new Sirius XM app. Just search Team USA.
Wake up! Wake up, everybody! This is Steve Phillips from the leadoff spot on MLB Network Radio. Join me and former Major League Baseball players Eduardo Perez and Xavier Scruggs as we react to all the latest news and scores across baseball and have plenty of fun along the way.
Steve, you were so right about that.
I don't know if anybody else thinks we're funny, but I think we're funny.
Why are you putting us or we into this?
The leadoff spot, weekdays at 7 a.m. Eastern on MLB Network Radio, Channel 89, and on the Sirius XM app.
Blue Jays fans, after this game, get back to what's really important? Your fantasy football team. We're talking about it right now on Fantasy Sports Radio, Channel 87, and the SiriusXM app.
8th inning, Blue Jays down 8-1. It's going to take a monster rally if the Blue Jays hope to come back in this ball game. Ernie Clement to lead things off here in this 8th inning, and a pitch that looked a little bit inside is called a strike. Miguel Castro into the ball game. He's the one that just threw that first pitch, that first strike in 8 games this season, and ERA at 5.19. Clement jumps on the second pitch, sends it to third, and what a play made at third base by Suarez. He made a backhanded grab, threw it over to first. It looked like he might sky it, but Walker able to make the grab and get ahead of Clement to get the out.
This defense has been on display for the Diamondbacks. This is not an easy play for Suarez to make. He was playing off of the line a bit, so he had to take a couple of steps over towards that foul line and throws this one way off balance, and it is a great throw all the way across the diamond to get Clement.
And now the first pitch to Jimenez ends up cracking him on the left arm, and he will head on down to first.
That was a changeup coming in at 93, and he just misses his spot completely on that pitch.
And the only good thing for Jimenez is it caught him on a spot where he wears a protective pad on that left elbow. He might have caught a little bit of his arm still.
Still, you'll take the baseball hitting a little bit of that arm guard. Absolutely. If you've got it on.
Brings up the top of the order now, George Springer. First pitch to Springer, low and outside, a 1-0 count.
Bit of an interesting delivery here from Castro. He's got a very tall frame, 6'7", coming off of the mound. Bit of a sidearm sling and throw, too.
And that sidearm throw kind of comes inside on Springer as he fouls off that sinker, clocked at 94, a 1-1 count. Castro looks over at first. Here's the 1-1. And Springer with a soft little liner out to short. And Perdomo throws it over to second to get Jimenez. And I don't know if Jimenez was maybe just in the base path or in the throwing path of where Marte was trying to go, because it looked like it could have been an easy opportunity for a double play, and Marte didn't even throw to first.
I agree with you. I felt like there was going to be plenty of time for him to be able to make a play at first base. Springer hustled all the way down that first baseline, and Christian Walker was over at first base, so he was ready for the throw.
And now Horwitz jumps on the first pitch and slaps one opposite field, a base hit to left field, so the Jays will try to make some noise here with 2 out in the 8th.
They have been good as a team batting with 2 outs and runners in scoring position this year. Coming into this series, they were actually batting better in that situation than the Diamondbacks. They were batting over 260 in a situation like this.
Brings up Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 0 for 3 in the ball game. Toronto trailing 8-1 in the 8th. Castro with the pitch. Vladdy gets underneath one, sends it deep down the left field side, but it's going to go foul about 15, maybe 20 feet in front of the pole into about the 5th row.
You'd love to see if Vladdy here can capitalize on that really nice defensive play that he made to end the bottom of the 7th inning by throwing across the diamond to get Jock Peterson out at third base. See if he could try to carry some of that momentum here into this at-bat and get a couple of runs across.
The 0-1 pitch, high, no good. On the sinker at 93, it's 1-1.
Diamondbacks haven't made many mistakes today, but the 2 mistakes they have made on the base paths have both come from Jock Peterson. The one, him not tagging at second base, and then him deciding to take off to third to end that 7th.
Big swing and a miss from Guerrero as he bit on the slider, and now down in the count, 1-2. Castro with the pitch, missing on the outside edge. He wanted the call, didn't get it. It's 2-2. The out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by the St. Louis Bar and Grill. We'll mention it one more time. Give you those East scores. New York beats Baltimore 6-1. Boston beats Kansas City 5-0. Tampa loses to Cleveland 4-2. The 2-2 pitch. And Vladdy slaps at it. Fights off that slider to stay alive. We'll do it again at 2-2. 8-1 Arizona leading. Top 8. Game 3 of this series going after just after 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow afternoon. The 2-2. Down in the zone, swinging and missing. Vladdy sits down. He got caught on the changeup. An 0-for-4 night for Guerrero. And the Blue Jays leave 2 on. Down to the bottom of the 8th we go. 8-1 Arizona leading. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center. Streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate, Pizza's big hitter, fixed rate pizza. An extra large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. I dare say, folks, inflation stands no chance against this all-star. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for fixed rate pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
I am by your side. Got a heart so big, on this you can rely. No mountains too tall for the strong boots to climb. I am by your side.
That was Desjardins Insurance, playing insurance with a heart so big it shows. Tune in for your auto and home coverage at desjardins.com/heart.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Bichette powers the ball to left field. Going back, Peralta. It's out of here.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back. Getting set to start the bottom half of the 8th inning. Stuart Berrios comes into the ball game for Toronto. And I believe he's taking the spot out in left field. We'll double check that in a second, but we also have a pitching change as Nate Pearson comes in, and I stand corrected. Berrios actually coming in place of George Springer out in right field. First pitch swinging. Gurriel Jr. sends it up and over the backstop deep into the stands. He's down in the count 0-1. Arizona had 8-1 here in the bottom of the 8th. Swing and a miss on pitch number 2. The curveball, a pretty one from Pearson. He's ahead in the count 0-2. Gurriel now stepping out of the box for a moment. 1 for 4 in the ball game. And again, it's his bobblehead night, Star Wars bobblehead night with Lourdes Gurriel Jr. 0-2 pitch, and wow, he got caught on a nasty curveball from Pearson. That thing bounced in front of the plate, and Gurriel still swung at it. It's a strikeout. There's one away.
Pearson's looked really strong so far in the month of July, and he's already off to a good start in this ball game. He started Gurriel Jr. off with a 4-seam fastball and then back-to-back curveballs, and that pitch just has so much last-minute bite down in the zone. That pitch nowhere near the strike zone, nowhere near the plate even, and he still got him to swing at it.
And the first pitch, he tried to come back with the curve again. That one bouncing. Nice grab there by Alejandro Kirk. A 1-0 count to Perdomo. 0 for 3 in the ball game. Geraldo Perdomo, the shortstop, batting from the left side against the righty Pearson. The 1-0 pitch, high and inside. It's 2-0. A 7-run lead right now for Arizona in the bottom of the 8th. high again, and a very quick 3-0 count.
Pearson has really good stuff, but I do feel that at times when he does struggle, it comes down to the command of that fastball. And you look at those last 2 pitches, if he were just to even nail one of those for strikes, it could completely change the course of the at-bat.
Good with a fastball. The 4-seamer clocked at 97. On the 3-0, it's now 3-1. Perdomo stands in. Here's the pitch. Similar result. Fastball at 97. Almost down Main Street. It's now 3-2. One down here in the 8th inning. Pearson trying to battle back after trailing in the count 3-0. It's a full count to Perdomo. Here's the pitch. Inside, way inside. He lost him. And a free pass to Geraldo Perdomo.
And a pitch like that, too, not even close to the strike zone. Those are the non-competitive pitches that we've been talking about, not just today, but even yesterday, too, at times. The ones where the batters aren't even thinking about taking their bat off of the shoulder, especially once you get to that full count. When you're missing by that much, maybe you're just trying a little bit too hard to hit your spots, and sometimes that doesn't end up going the way that you want it to.
This brings up Gino Suarez. 1 for 4 in the ball game. And he jumped on the first pitch from Pearson and sends a rocket to left field. It's gone. A 2-run shot has put Arizona up 10-1.
Seems like this Diamondbacks offense is really starting to heat up, and one of the batters that's made a big difference for them as of late has been Suarez, and the resurgence of his power that he's found truly in this month has made the biggest difference for him. Now 4 home runs in the month of July for Eugenio Suarez.
And there was no doubt about that one right off the bat. He sent that one on a big-time ride. 435 feet. Exit velo at 107. And again, a 10-1 lead for the Diamondbacks with 13 hits against the Blue Jay pitchers. It started early as Jose Berrios just didn't have his stuff tonight, and it has continued against the bullpen as well. The 0-1 pitch is good for a strike, and now 0-2 to Alek Thomas.
And how many times today have we seen the Diamondbacks capitalize on free passes or by errors that the Blue Jays have made, even going back to the 3-run home run that Corbin Carroll hit. It was that error by Vladdy over at first base that extended that inning.
And another base hit sent into the opposite field. The lefty Thomas takes it into left field, slaps one for a base hit in front of Davis Schneider, and he stands on first with still only 1 away.
Thomas seeing the ball well on that curveball. It was located up and inside, and he paused and hesitated for a moment, sunk into the front side. But the key to getting a base hit on that pitch still was being able to keep his hands back. When you keep your hands back, you still have a chance on those pitches, even if you're a little bit fooled on it. And he's still able to drive that one out into the outfield.
And the first pitch from Pearson fouled off by Jose Herrera. This copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership or the Sportsnet Radio Network. The 0-1 pitch inside to Herrera, high and inside. It's now 1-1. Herrera 3 for 3 tonight. As we talked about last inning, in his last at-bat, he has played very well at the plate and behind the plate. Swing and a miss. Now down in the count, 1-2.
3 for 3 with 3 singles, and he also walked back in the 5th inning, so he's reached base safely all 4 of his at-bats so far today.
A couple of runs scored. Nice night for him. His average on the season up to 389. And he just struck out looking on a nasty curveball from Nate Pearson.
Benefit of getting ahead in the count, too, is you get the batters on their heels a bit, and it allows you to throw a variety of different pitches. And in that at-bat, it was back-to-back slider and then curveball, so 2 different types of breaking balls to get Herrera out for the first time in this ball game.
2 down, bottom of the 8th, Arizona leading 10-1. And the top of the order with Corbin Carroll, who had a 3-run jack in his last at-bat last inning.
I'm going to correct myself. I think earlier in the game I called it a 2-run home run. I shorted him 1 run. It was a 3-run home run. I called those an error in the booth. I don't know if we've got a stat sheet for that, but I'll give myself the error on that one.
We'll say E10 Shipman.
I'll take it. I'll wear it.
I've had a few tonight. Don't worry about it. 10-1, Arizona leading. 9-run lead here in the 8th inning. And the 1-1 pitch is good for a strike. Another curveball for Pearson. It's 1-2. Madison Shipman and Eric Smith here again tonight in Game 2 from the Timbermart broadcast booth. Game 2 between the Diamondbacks and Jays. Game 3 tomorrow just after 4 o'clock Eastern time. The 1-2 pitch down in the dirt on a curveball. It's 2-2. Runner on first, 2 down. Carroll at the plate with a 2-2 count. Here's the pitch. High inside, clocked at 99, and it's 3-2. Pearson gets the sign from Kirk. Here's the delivery, and guess what? Carroll did it again. The home run to right field. This is a 2-run shot, Madison. And now 6 runs batted in the game for Carroll. The second home run of the inning and a 12-1 Arizona lead.
I guess it was just a little bit of unintentional foreshadowing on my part when I called it a 2-run home run earlier in the ball game. I was just a few innings early. Now Corbin Carroll with his second home run of the day. And it's on a fastball that is piped straight down the middle, and Nate Pearson knew it as soon as Corbin Carroll made contact with that pitch. He just put his head down because he knew exactly where that thing was going, and it was leaving the yard out to right field.
12-1, the Blue Jays trail. They've given up 15 hits and 12 runs. 7 of the 12 have come over the last 2 innings, and this one is still going on. 3 in the 7th, 4 and counting here in the 8th. Pearson staying in the ball game, and why not at this point?
You got to leave him in at this
point.
point.
You're down 12-1. The 1-0 pitch is no good. Down low and outside. Now 2-0. And a check swing on the 3rd pitch. It was outside. But Gabe Morales says that Newman did go after that one. Kevin Newman came into this ball game in place of Ketel Marte, the pinch hitter, giving the All-Star a bit of an early breather.
Pretty cool moment for Ketel Marte on the field before the game even started, getting presented with his All-Star jersey.
And he leaves this ball game 2 for 3 with a couple of walks. Newman now, with his first at-bat of the night, has pushed the count to full, as Pearson has now thrown 28 pitches in this inning. The 3-2 count. Pearson trying to get out of this inning. Swing and a miss. The strikeout finally ends things for Toronto, but they go to the 9th inning trailing by 11. It's 12-1 Arizona. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The Busted Open podcast is now available on YouTube. This is Dave LaGreca, host of Busted Open, the #1 pro wrestling show on the planet. You can now watch and listen to the award-winning Busted Open podcast every single day on YouTube. Our best interviews, behind-the-scenes access, and some of our best content from the past. All available right now when you go to youtube.com/@BustedOpenPodcast. Subscribe right now.
Fantasy Sports Radio is helping you win whichever fantasy sport you play. Right now on Channel 87 and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Every night after the final out, the Round Trip Roundup brings you the scores, highlights, and analysis from every game across Major League Baseball, all in less than 30 minutes.
Swung on and missed strike 3 and a no-hitter.
It's the perfect way to get caught up on all the night's biggest home runs and best performances.
And a high drive, deep right center.
It's the Round Trip Roundup on MLB Network Radio every night on SiriusXM Channel 89 and every morning on the SiriusXM app.
The battle for European soccer supremacy has reached the knockout stage, and all the drama of the Euros is on SiriusXM.
Oh my goodness, what a story!
Every match is now win or go home, and they can all be heard on Fox Sports Channel 83.
That is sensational!
Before and after the matches, hear what the experts are saying on SiriusXM FC 157.
They are proven winners right now.
No one is covering Euro 2024 like SiriusXM. Listen in the car or on the all-new SiriusXM app.
Radio Network.
Welcome back. 9th inning. Blue Jays down 12-1. I don't want to say it's over. If you want to put on a rally cap or something, turn it inside out. I think you're going to have to turn all your clothes inside out at this point. Jays down by 11. And it's been a rough night to say the least. Thiago Vieira coming into the ball game for the Diamondbacks, as he will try and finish this off. And the first pitch to Justin Turner outside, clocked at 98, the 1-0 count to Turner.
Vieira's going to throw with some pretty good velocity. He likes to mix in the four-seam fastball, which we just saw for the first pitch. Also throws that with a sinker that he'll average right around 97, and right on cue, a 97-mile-per-hour sinker low and outside to Justin Turner for strike one.
The 1-1 pitch to Turner. Swing and a miss. Went after that fastball, clocked at 98, and it's a 1-2 count. Vieira gets the sign. Here's the pitch. And at the bottom part of the zone, he gets the call on a fastball at 99, and Turner does not like it. He has a few words for home plate umpire Ryan Addington as he walks across the plate and heads back toward the Blue Jay dugout. There's one out here in the ninth.
There have been some questionable calls on the low part of the zone throughout today's ball game, but that was not one of them. That one looked like it was clearly within that low part of the strike zone.
Yeah, I agree with you. Vieira now dealing with Varsho, swing and a miss on the first pitch from Dalton, or to Dalton, excuse me. 0-1 count. The 0-1, and Varsho gets underneath it, skies it to center field. Plenty of room back there. Alec Thomas camps underneath it, makes the grab. There's two down.
Couple of quick outs already for the Blue Jays here in the top of the ninth inning, and that just kind of seems like a theme for today's offense. Very quick innings, whether they're being aggressive and going after the first pitches and getting quick outs. And for the Diamondbacks, the complete opposite. Have found themselves very deep into counts, fouling off a lot of pitches, capitalizing on mistakes that have been thrown.
Alejandro Kirk up now 1 for 2 in the ball game, and the first pitch down low on a fastball. Check that sinker at 99. 1-0 is the count to Kirk. Inside, it's now 2-0. Friday, July 19th is Pickle Fest night at Rogers Center. Purchase your specialty ticket today and you will receive a Blue Jays pickle tote and more pickle activities. I'm assuming that has to do with pickleball. Go to bluejays.com/specialty ticket. .30 count to Alejandro Kirk. Outside, 4 straight balls, and Kirk will get on. So the game is extended, at least briefly, with Toronto trailing 12-1 here in the top of the ninth with 2 out.
Kirk has really had solid at-bats all game long. He had that sac fly back in the second inning to score the one and only run of the ball game for the Toronto Blue Jays today. He had a base hit out to right field in the fourth and had a line drive out to right field again in the seventh, and a quality walk there with 2 away.
Vieira with the first pitch to Davis Schneider. The sinker outside low, no good at 97. It's a 1-0 count. Schneider 0 for 2 in the ball game. His average has dipped down to 217 on the season. Schneider digs in. Here's the pitch. Inside. It's now 6 straight balls issued by Vieira. A 2-0 count to Schneider. That one good for a strike. The sinker at 97. It's 2-1.
Every once in a while, it seems like Vieira gets a little bit more arm side run on his fastballs that he hasn't been able to control, at least the first couple of pitches that he threw to Davis Schneider. But that one, he just pumped straight through that strike zone.
Here's the 2-1 delivery. And it caught the bottom part of the zone. Another sinker at 97. It's 2-2.
There's that pitch that has been called all game today. Right there at the low part of that strike zone.
Schneider trying to keep this game alive. The 2-2 pitch. Low outside. It's 3-2. The crowd buzzing. They want it to end right here. The 3-2 pitch. Again, low down in the dirt, and back-to-back walks will keep this game going.
Vieira trying to put a little bit extra on those last 2 fastballs that he threw in there, and because of that, he was not able to get them anywhere close to the strike zone.
2 out here in the top of the 9th, and we've got a mound visit right now for the Diamondbacks. As Brent Strom comes out, chats with Vieira, and now Ryan Addison, the home plate umpire, comes out and says, "Come on, let's break it up. Let's get this thing going. Let's get out of here."
I think we can all guess exactly what that conversation was. That was, your team has an 11-run lead. Stop walking batters. Go ahead and go right at them with that fastball. You're throwing it 97, 98 miles per hour. Go right at Ernie Clement here with 2 away.
Ernie Clement 0 for 3 in the ball game. He's got 2 on right now and missing way high on a fastball at 98. It's a 1-0 count. Vieira checks out Kirk at second, turns, fires a fastball. Good for a strike in the upper part of the zone on the inside edge. It's a 1-1 count now to Clement. Crowd starting to buzz again. They want to get out of here. 12-1 Arizona leading, top 9. And Clement just sends one out to second, perfectly placed. Right at second base was Newman, throws over to first to get the out, and that will do it as the Blue Jays get blown out in Arizona in Game 2. They lose 12-1 to the Diamondbacks.
There's really no other way to put it, but it's just not a good game at all by the Blue Jays here. After losing that heartbreaker last night, you kind of thought maybe they were going to try to turn things around early in the ball game, get some runs on the board, get things going, and nothing went their way. Jose Berrios didn't have his sharpest stuff tonight. The offense wasn't able to get anything going against Gilbert Diaz, who pitched incredibly well, just his second start in the major leagues. Made some defensive mistakes. Even Chris Bassett ended up getting tossed in this ball game. Just all around, not a solid ball game at all for the Blue Jays, and end up losing this series in Game 2 out in Arizona.
So we'll step aside for the break, come back with some final thoughts, and then hand it off for post-game coverage as the Blue Jays again lose 12-1 to the Diamondbacks. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate with over 2 million sold, it's Fixed Rate Pizza, a hot and fresh extra-large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for Fixed Rate Pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
Carnival is at the core of Toronto culture. Stand out in the crowd with your Blue Jays neon hat giveaway. The colors, the music, the heat, the vibes.
I don't know who's having more fun, the players or the fans.
Be at Rogers Center as the Blue Jays celebrate Caribbean Carnival and create core memories of summer in the city.
Everybody's feeling good right now.
Arrive early on Friday, July 26th and claim your Blue Jays neon hat. Blue Jays Caribbean Carnival. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
We're 2menintruck.ca. We've got lots of men and lots of trucks, so get ready to be moved.
Think 2menintruck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2menintruck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2menintruck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Got him to chase the back foot slider. That's a strikeout for Pop.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back. The Blue Jays lose tonight to the Arizona Diamondbacks. 12-1 the final, as Toronto just unable to get anything going in this ball game. They fell behind early and just couldn't catch up as Arizona goes on to score 7 runs in the 7th and 8th innings combined, en route to, again, this 12-1 victory with 15 hits in the ball game. And what a night for Corbin Carroll with 2 home runs and 6 runs batted in. A 2-for-4 night. He had 3 runs scored as well. That more than enough from him alone, let alone what everybody else did, Madison. Again, a 12-1 win for Arizona. And you said it just before the break, but you also mentioned it earlier in the broadcast. Toronto loses to Seattle, bounces back, takes the final 2. They have a frustrating, tough loss in Game 1 against San Fran. They respond. They take Game 2. They win Game 3. They come into Arizona with momentum. They had a lead. They blew it late. They lose Game 1. You think they're going to bounce back as they have the previous 2 series, and they get blown out tonight.
It just felt, from obviously an outside perspective, it just felt like this team was very frustrated from the very beginning of this ball game. And Jose Berrios did not have his sharpest stuff. We've obviously seen him have much better outings throughout this season, and he was grinding it through those first couple of innings of the ball game where he was able to get ahead in counts but just not be able to finish off batters. And you even saw him when he exited the ball game showing a lot of frustration, even throwing a glove down onto the ground, and just the frustration spilling over for this entire team. And then on the flip side, on the offensive side too, a lot of quick innings on their part that really helped Diaz out on the mound. And I'm not saying you got to take away from the aggressiveness. Go after a pitch if you see it early in the count. But it did feel like a couple of those 1, 2, 3 innings just continued to give that Arizona team a lot of momentum. And they took advantage of some mistakes. There were some free passes that were given up. There was an error that was made over at first base by Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And it just felt like anytime you gave them an inch, they went ahead and took a mile. And that obviously ended up accounting to a lot of runs for the Diamondbacks, and another very frustrating loss and a series loss for the Blue Jays when they need to try to string together wins here at this point in the season.
For Toronto now, with this loss, they fall down to 43-52 on the season, 9 games below 500 with 1 more remaining until the All-Star break. Again, it will go tomorrow just after 4 o'clock Eastern time, and we will have it for you right here on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Thanks to producer Mike Jose Collins and technical director Tom Young. Host Show Ali is coming up next with Jays Talk from Baseball Control. You've been listening to Toronto Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
All right, so 2 things to get us going tonight after a drab, largely uncompetitive game for much of the evening. One is that I got tons of work done during that game. Let me tell you, boy, I didn't do a single pitching change tonight. So I work on some of the other podcasts on the network. I caught up on a lot of work. The bosses are going to be very pleased. Two, as it is now well after midnight here in the East Coast, just after 1 a.m. Eastern, we are officially, that means 16 days away from the trade deadline. July 30th, the trade deadline. So I have a sneaking suspicion, with one game left before the All-Star break, which goes later today, I suppose, here in the East Coast. But we are going to be watching the Twitter feeds, X feeds of people like Jeff Passett and Ken Rosenthal and other MLB insiders to see what deals slowly leak over the next 2 weeks and a bit. But tonight, a 12-1 defeat for the Jays in a game that, honestly, somehow a 12-1 score suggests a game that is not close. I actually feel like it felt even less close than that final score somehow suggests. Honestly, if we did a show on Canada soccer losing to Uruguay at Copa America in the third place game and the Raptors' first summer league game of the offseason, it would probably be more interesting than whatever we're going to talk about in the next 25 to 30 minutes. Honestly, if you want to call or text about either of those, you know what? I'm game. Show Alley with you. You're listening to J-Stock live on the Sportsnet Radio Network. We're also streaming on sportsnet.ca and on the Sportsnet app. Give me a call, 416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. You can text me as well. 590-590, name and location. The People's Sex line always open. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. Tonight was actually a Star Wars night at Chase Field in Arizona, so I suppose this makes this game either the Attack of the Clones or Rise of Skywalker, i.e. truly horrible in every aspect. The best part actually was the Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Stormtrooper bobblehead giveaway. So I think my main thought from tonight is that maybe I can sweet talk Ben Nicholson-Smith into saving me one of those things. He's out there with Hazel, so that looked pretty cool. We'll make it a quick one tonight. I actually think, I said this before a couple ways, different times during the season, and I'm curious where you guys are at on this these days, but for me, a big part of the frustration for the most part is simply, I just like to watch baseball. And you're pretty likely to catch me watching a random, Angels Brewers game because baseball, I don't know how often those teams play each other, but baseball is fun to watch. I'll watch pretty much most games versus how likely is it that I'll watch Predators Kings on a random Thursday night, for example, in the NHL. Actually, the Predators might be good this year, so are probably going to be good this year. So maybe I would watch that. But my point being is that generally speaking, baseball and good baseball, more specifically, is what I love. And I know you guys love that as well. And we just have not seen long stretches of good baseball from the Jays this season. That's putting it pretty lightly, but they have not looked great in Arizona after looking pretty good in Seattle and San Francisco. It's just been a bad mix of all the bullet points we talk about, none of them pretty much going right in these last couple of games, right? A bad mix of starters not playing well, defense not being super sharp, the offense not getting anything going, the bullpen playing very poorly, and then you sprinkle in odd strike zones and just sprinkle in the regular bad luck that most teams experience on a regular basis, then you get what you get tonight. A 12-1 loss for the Jays, and they have now lost a series in Arizona, and they'll try and salvage it with the remainder of the game, which goes later today at Chase Field. Let's go to the text line. 590-590, name and location. Whit from Brights Grove, Ontario. Show, I'm pushing the panic button. I'm hitting it and smashing it with a hammer. That's fair, honestly. The team has not looked particularly very good, and it just... I don't know that this game in particular necessarily is what they are, because we did just see them win 2 of 3 in both Seattle and San Francisco, and I think the conversation was largely pretty positive after those series. So, but also I don't think the team was that good either, right? As with most things, the truth usually falls somewhere in the middle, and they're not 12-1 bad, but they're also not taking 2 of 3 on the road for most teams good either, right? So, at this point, I'm not sure what's left to be salvaged in the 2024 season. But then again, we're like I said, we're just waiting for the trade deadline at this point. Like I said, 16 days away. That's all we're waiting. Battler in Brantford. Is it safe to assume that nobody of consequence will be canned between now and first pitch tomorrow? Absolutely absurd level of ridiculousness. I can't believe Atkins is still permitted to direct this ship. Schneider is still permitted to manage this group. I'm a 45-year-old Jays fan. I'm totally disgusted. Have a nice night. Thank you, Battler from Brantford, Ontario. Thanks for staying up late, honestly. I'm impressed that you stayed up so late to watch a game that ended 12-1 for the other guys. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, the team is not good, right? I would be surprised, like, to the text specifically, I would be surprised if someone was fired, like, tonight, given that there is one game to go in the All-Star break. Now, were they to make a change over the course of the All-Star break, I still would be surprised. That would be less surprising than them doing it, like especially given that it's like 1 a.m. Eastern, and the next game starts at 4 p.m. Eastern. So I don't know. Like, it seems unlikely they're going to make some kind of massive change, but yeah, I'm not really sure. Like, it's like I said many times as well. Are you just really shuffling the deck chairs in the Titanic? Probably, right? Probably. 416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590. Star 590 on your cell. Let's go to the phones. Get to as many of your phone calls in this quick edition of Jays Talk as possible. Let's go to Gumby right here in Ontario. Where are you calling from, Gumby? Where in Ontario are you?
I am calling from Port Colborne, Ontario.
Okay. All right. What's up?
So, I'm telling you this. This front office and the coaching staff has to be fumigated. This organization has systematically taken a World Series contender and turned it into a mediocre show. It's just unbelievably a disgrace. They have had a blank check. They can bring in anybody who they want. Rogers has as much money as any organization in this country. And the general manager and the president, Shapiro, they have neglected the fan base, and they're selling this. I'm just telling you that the fans of the Blue Jays deserve better.
Hey, I feel you, Gumby. Thanks for the call. Just a reminder. No spite. I know it's late. I know this is like Jays Talk After Dark, and I wonder about the CRTC, pardon me, allowing us to do that. But you can't do that. But hey, I do agree that generally speaking, and I've said this a billion times, but after a 12-1 loss, certainly worth saying it again, that the leash on the front office, and I mean, I forgot who said this last night. It might have been Guy. I honestly forget who said this last night. I apologize if I misattribute this, but John Schneider getting fired, for example, I think is like the last domino that could fall right at this moment. It's the last card to be played by the front office, specifically by these guys who are currently in charge, because if you're not winning over like a sustained amount over a longer period of time, how many organizations, and I don't have this, I should really look it up, honestly, because I say this all the time. I should really look it up to see how many times this has happened. But like, how many organizations get to fire essentially 3 managers in the span of 9 years? Again, like I would wager very few, if not none, right? Without you also getting fired, which is why I think we haven't seen that domino fall. And yeah, I mean, maybe I've heard a lot of people say DeMarlo Hale is very well liked in the clubhouse. I guess you could make Don Mattingly the manager. He's been a manager before, but I mean, would it really make a difference? Probably not, right? Like the problems with this team are relatively systemic, which is why I think a lot of people call for Shapiro and Atkins to get the axe versus only Schneider. Ultimately, I think when we're having this conversation in the offseason, we're having this conversation before, like March of 2025, I have a feeling the conversation will be about 3 entirely new people, or at the very least it should be. Very least it should be. I'll tell you that. Let's go to the phones. 416, or back to the phones. 416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Alan in Toronto. Is this Alan in a cab, or is this a different Alan?
Retired. I used to be in a cab, but I'm retired now.
All right.
So, yesterday, the 9th inning, by the way, the attendance, average attendance in Blue Jay land is 33,513.
Okay.
So the fans are doing their part. Just too bad they can't hit, run, and pitch. It would be great if they could. I'd like to talk about the ninth inning yesterday. Carroll and Marte, they both executed a perfect double steal, and then they intentionally walked Christian Walker. 1 out. And Varshaw was playing straight away. The outfield should have been playing like rovers, in a softball game, because you have to be in position to catch the line drives and the Texas leaguers. If it's hit over your head, you may as well let it drop, because the runner is going to tag and score anyway, especially Corbin Carroll. He's known for his speed. So that's one of the criticisms I have for Schneider. He should have had the outfield playing shallow, because like I was saying, they're in great position. They're in better position because you're going to catch the line drives and Texas leaguers. So I've seen that in Major League Baseball too. The outfielders are playing straight away when there's less than 2 out and the winning run is on third. So that's my big criticism against Schneider. He has to be told that the outfield has to be playing in.
What do you think, Alan? Before I let you go, you think a managerial change would make a significant difference if the GM/players are the same?
No, I don't think it makes much difference. That's the big rap I have against him. That's the only rap I have against him. He's doing his best, and like I said, he can't hit, pitch, or field. He can't do any of those things. So it's not going to make much difference if they bring in a different manager.
Hey, Alan, thanks for the call. I hope you're having a good night. Thanks for staying up late for me. I see some text here as well. John from Battler again. Bro, John Schneider should have been canned in May. I guess, I suppose, right? But it's just, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. Even if it was DeMarlo Hale, I'm not really sure a lot of massive different decision-making processes would have taken place, right? The only reason I say it is because we've heard so many times from the front office, mostly from Ross Atkins, and I think it's also a fair criticism to say, okay, he kind of word salady when he talks, it's pretty opaque, all things considered. So if that's the case, I don't know how much you really take his words into consideration, but he has just had multiple chances over the course of the last year plus to say everything is on John Schneider. And he has said that at times, but so many other times he's walked it back to say, yeah, it's a collaborative decision-making process. And I read that to say John Schneider does not make the final decisions. Right. And if that's the case, then I get, you could, sure, fire John Schneider. But the team's probably still going to be pretty bad, all things considered. Right? Jason in Scarborough on the text line. This management team fired Charlie Montoya when the team had a winning record. While I don't think firing Schneider now will make a difference, how do they justify him still having a job with their record being the worst it's been in years? And again, I think that's the simple fact is if they fire him and nothing changes, and I don't really think a lot has happened to suggest that a lot would change if you change the manager, right? So if they were to fire him and nothing changes for the rest of the year, then would that not put a more direct spotlight on you yourself, the GM / the president? I think it would. I honestly think that's where we're at, because you're right. We've seen managers get fired for way less for other teams, for the Blue Jays themselves, in other sports. I 100% agree. And if it was a different sort of situation, if John Schneider had been brought in instead of Charlie Montoya, he probably already would have been fired. If the situations were reversed, right? I'm not sure a lot would have changed. Again, I'm not saying John Schneider does not deserve any blame. He absolutely deserves blame. Everyone deserves a piece of the blame pie these days. Everyone's eating from that pie these days. But boy, it just feels like having this conversation just feels like it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's all the same essentially. 416-870-0590, 1-888-660-590, star 590 on your cell. Chris in St. Catharines staying up late. Chris, what's up?
No, I just want to talk to you. I think that last night's loss, not tonight's, last night's, had more of an effect on their demeanor and how they just were horrible. I really do. I think that they had to do it against San Francisco. The same thing happened, but it was a little bit more wacky, so they got through that one, and they won the series. Then it happens again, first game against Arizona. I think it demoralized them, just like things saying on Sportsnet. It demoralized them. And I think that's the problem. And as far as Snyder's made way more mistakes. He made a mistake by putting Trevor Richards in again after what he did against San Francisco. He put him in the same spot to do the same thing, only a different way. It wasn't a home run this time. But that's what I think. And I think that if you're going to see any firings, you're going to see either the GM and the president gone and somebody in the interim takes over, and then whoever they bring in is going to want their own coach, because they usually do. They want the bench coach that they want.
Yeah.
But that's what I think is going to happen there.
Sure. Chris, thanks for the call.
I'll listen to your comments.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate you joining me so late, staying up late for me here in Ontario. So a couple things there. Let's do the Trevor Richards thing. I'll say this. Trevor Richards deserves the blame for what happened last night. John Schneider also wears some blame for what happened last night, certainly as well. The reason, I think, if you're like splitting it between the two of them, I'll make it like 75% Richards for me and 25% John Schneider, mainly because even after all the terrible pitching Trevor Richards has done, unfortunately, over the last like 4 games, not including tonight. So 4 games going into, including last night's ball game, I should say, because obviously Richards didn't pitch tonight. You know, he was not put in a high leverage situation in the sense of the team's top of the order was kind of passing him by. He got to see Christian Walker. If I'm remembering correctly, Christian Walker was batting cleanup last night. That was the first batter he saw. It was an out. He got the next batter. There was an out. Or no, it was a walk to the 5th batter. Got the out on the 6th batter. So now he has 2 outs, a runner on. You're up by 2, and you, in theory, should be able to get batters 7 through 9, right? Like before the order turns over again. And Alec Thomas comes up to bat, a guy who at that point in the season had a batting average of sub 200. And even after what had gone on, like I just feel like it's incumbent on the guy on the mound to like deliver against the guy who has been, let's be honest, bad, right? And so I think that's why I can, in that particular situation, place more of it on Richards, because like, you're being paid millions of dollars. You should execute your pitches, right? And he didn't, and that's why I think like there's a little bit on John Schneider. But I mean, gosh, like after a certain point, like the guy has just got to pitch, right? But anyways, I agree that their body language, to Chris's other point, it just doesn't look great, right? I remember having a conversation with some athletes, like not only in baseball, but people who have been on the station, on the network over the last couple of years. And I remember asking them, I think it was like on a weekend show we were doing, during the fall or something. Leafs were playing. We were doing a show until the game ended. And I remember asking this person about like what do players think of when trades are made? Like in the sense of like, do they know really? Do they voice really like what they require when it comes to the team's deficiencies and like what they don't really need when it comes to the team's strengths? And I think to a person, every athlete, both present and former, I've ever had this conversation with, have all said yes to a person. Like they all know that, if the bullpen is playing particularly poorly, then they expect the front office to go out and get them a bullpen arm, right? If they know they need like a top line forward, then they know the GM has to go out and get them a top line forward. Like if they know the front court is lacking, then that guy's got to go out and get a front court mate for whoever, right? All players, I think, are aware of this. And I think to Chris's point, there are so many parts of this roster that require attention for the conversations that we have on a nightly basis largely be about like who's getting shipped out of town and who's getting traded. I got to think like that plus them playing poorly, which is what's gotten them into this mess in the first place, it's got to be demoralizing, right? That is like their body language doesn't look great. I mean, I've heard Barker say this a bazillion times, but I mean, the truth is that ultimately these sports are supposed to be fun. And I mean, yeah, there were some fun moments in Seattle. There were some fun moments in San Francisco, but ultimately I don't see a lot of fun being had, certainly in Arizona. And it's kind of a tough way to go into the All-Star break. 416-870-0590, 1-888-660-590, star 590 on your cell. Let's go to Ryan in Innisfil. Ryan, what's up?
Good evening, show. How we doing?
Could be better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want to touch on a couple points from the callers from the other night. The first one, I believe it was Guy from Maple, the boy. He was kind of saying that, like, I think John Schneider is kind of sort of like that last domino that has to fall before real accountability comes onto Ross and March, something along those lines.
Right.
And, I completely agree. Like, it's not so much John Schneider's fault because he has a pretty piss poor team to throw a lineup together with in the first place. But he does have to go, man. Like this team is missing like accountability. Like accountability is integral for a massive business or a massive group of people to succeed. You have to be accountable for your mistakes and learn from these mistakes and grow from these mistakes. And it doesn't feel like there's a maturity level from the coaching staff or even from the front office to take that accountability upon themselves to say, you know what, yeah, I've screwed up here. I've made a mistake here, and I have to pay the consequences for the mistakes that I've made. It's very selfish of the front office not to fire John Schneider. It's selfish to John Schneider himself because it's not like it's going to be easy for him to get a job. It just keeps getting worse. His resume literally gets worse by the day. And even for the front office, it's like, you think you're going to get a job anywhere? You can't even look the media in the face and tell the truth. It's all like backhanded stab in the back compliments. It's insane. And then I believe it was Adam who spoke after me yesterday. He's a little more measured. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, he made some really good points. And a lot of the points were about what Mark Shapiro has brought to this team from a business aspect. And where we have renovations to the Rogers Center, everything's going well. He's got more money than we've ever got as a franchise in general. That's wonderful, man. I would rather watch a good Blue Jays team play at my local YMCA in the shitty bleachers. I would much rather watch a good baseball team than sit in some beautiful stadium and watch garbage. I'll tell you what, I was in the stadium, Game 5, 2016, we were playing the Kansas City Royals, and that place was rocking. Was the Rogers Center a dump? Yes, it was. It was my dump, and I loved it, and my team was awesome, and I loved that even more. It doesn't matter what the stadium looks like. It matters what the product is on the field, and they need to take responsibility for it, and I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if it comes from ownership. I don't know where it comes from, but it needs to come soon, and, like, I wish it was more of a democracy for the fans so we could just be like, okay, you're gone, and we need something new, like a little stockholder action, a little shareholder action. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And I don't even really have questions or anything, Joe. I'm kind of just venting a little bit. I'm so broken, man. I'm calling every night. I'm sorry, but like, this is just killing me, man. I love the freaking Blue Jays, and it just feels like it's in such a state of emergency and panic and despair that is unfixable for the foreseeable future. On a lighter note, go Canada, go. We should have won that game. The officiating was terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm happy they finished fourth in their first tournament. That's awesome. Proud to be Canadian. We're going to go get them next year as well. And also, my Toronto Raptors lit it up against Sacramento.
They did.
Summer League is here. Basketball is back. My joy is back. I'm hoping for at least 40 wins this year, 40 and 42. I know Masai says playing for what, but Masai, I like extra basketball. Let's go get it this year. Scotty Barnes, All-NBA. Quickly, All-Star. RJ Barrett, All-Star.
All right.
Let's go Raptors.
All right, Ryan. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate I did say call about Canada Soccer or the Raptors Summer League. I absolutely said that. So I appreciate Ryan following along. Look, real quick. Disappointing result for Canada Soccer, but I'm kind of with Ryan, honestly. Like, yeah, they should have won that game. They should have won that game. Not enough guys in the box there at the end. And of course, of all people, it's Luis Suarez, like the Uruguayan legend who hadn't played all that much, and then bing, he comes in and scores the goal in injury time. That was tough to watch. I got to say, it was tough to watch. Equally tough to watch Kone and Davey Smith's penalties because they've been so good, but that was tough. But hey, I mean, like, I'm not sure I expected really anything from the Copa America tournament. So I've been pretty impressed with Jesse Marsh. Also, Grady Dick, 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. He might be like too good for Summer League, honestly. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. On the Blue Jays, you know what? It's probably a good thing that I say this like with all love, but it's probably a good thing the fans it's like not a democracy, because I mean, if that was the case, Alex Anthopoulos would have been fired long before 2015. John Gibbons would have been fired long before 2015. Like, those guys would never have had the signature moments they had. So it's probably a good thing that's not the case. Having said that, change is obviously needed. And yeah, I mean, he like Adam or not Adam, Ryan was asking the question, who makes those decisions? And I mean, if it's a decision made on Shapiro, then I mean, it's got to be like the board of directors of Rogers, right? And I would be surprised because, and I said this a bunch of times as well, but I would just be surprised if these like billion-dollar entities, multi-billion-dollar entities, I suppose, make decisions like this. It's not lightly, because I think we all agree change needs to happen, but I would be surprised if it happened certainly before like tomorrow's draft, or later today, the draft happening in like less than 24 hours. And I would equally be surprised if for that same reason it happened before the trade deadline. But I mean, gosh, we're still talking about them not having made change before like the start of next season, then I don't know what to tell you, because it's not going to be good. Before we take a quick break here, and we'll get some more phone calls after the break, let's go to Adam in Thornhill here on Jays Talk. Adam, you just heard you have a fan in the other caller. So what you got for me tonight?
I know. I'm getting juice on the radio, and I'm going to tell you a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to keep it clean for you, show, because I don't want to get you in trouble.
Please, thank you.
Number two, you're putting together a more consistent lineup, you and your producers, because I'm following Ryan in Innisfil 2 nights in a row, so that's good. A couple of things. To his point of what he was referring to, he's absolutely right. You'd rather see a better team than a pretty stadium. My point last night about Shapiro and complimenting him was more of an indictment on how bad it's been for Atkins, because even being given all the resources that he has and still not being able to do it, whereas other GMs maybe in smaller markets are more handicapped by budgetary restrictions and other things. So that was sort of my point. It wasn't so much to just throw bouquets at the positives, but it was just having a fair assessment on the job that Shapiro has done as president of baseball operations. So a couple things. I called in a few days ago and I mentioned to you that I believe that they should trade, Gaussman and Bassett and as some contracts that are on the books for next year. And you responded to me by saying, well, then who the heck is going to pitch for this team? Well, my point is that A, their value is never going to be higher. When we're prepared to win, they won't be here anyway. You could recoup a lot more assets, especially if you're willing to eat part of the contract for this year and get them off the books for next year. But what it'll also do is, what I don't want to see happen is the Blue Jays go on a bit of a heater, win 74 games, miss the playoffs by 10, and we're picking 13th in next year's draft or 15th. I'd rather see them win 64 games and be essentially enrolled, if you want to call it that, into the draft lottery and maybe come out with the number one overall pick. So by trading a Gaussman or a Bassett, not only are you recouping the assets, you're also clearing them off your books for next year to be able to have more room to potentially sign Bo and Vladdy. But you're also, you're done this year anyway. There's only 66 games left, and you're not making the playoffs. So why not try and get a better draft pick next year? Much like the Rangers, if you looked at last year, they sucked 2 years ago. They drafted number 4 in last year's draft, got Wyatt Langford, still went on to win the World Series. And now this year, they have him implemented as a core piece moving forward to their already World Series winning team. So those are the kind of things you have to do. Second of all, last thing I'll say, when you look at all these pieces that we're potentially moving in terms of the UFAs, like a Kevin Kiermaier or a Justin Turner, individually, they're not going to yield a big return. But if you stack them as part of a bigger deal, some franchise might look at that. Like if you look at the Dodgers, they need some help right now with Betts and Muncy being out. They're not getting productivity at third base. Well, a Justin Turner, who would be their 6th or 7th best hitter in that lineup, that's okay. The problem is when you have a talent like Turner, you're asking him to be your middle of the order bat. Well, then he can't do it because that's not who he is. But if he's your 6th or 7th best player, that might be a cheaper option for a Dodgers to go to rather than for them to, seek out a more name type player from another organization that will cost them more prospect capital. But those are the kind of things that you can do to recoup assets and maximize what you have on your roster.
Hey, Adam, thanks for the call, as always. Yeah, I do think when it comes to the UFAs, you got to maximize that value by any means necessary, right? I totally get it. I mean, I think I like the Dodgers idea. They have some familiarity with Justin Turner. Maybe they would take him back because I mean, they're getting basically anything you could possibly get out of Shohei Ohtani, out of Freddie Freeman, out of Will Smith, Mookie Betts, obviously with the fractured hand. But I mean, they're getting basically everything anyone could ask for out of their top 4 bats and like nothing from everyone else. So yeah, I mean, they're going to make some decisions. I think the Phillies, I think I read earlier, they DFA'd Whit Merrifield. I mean, there are teams that are contenders, the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Braves, I'm sure as well, all of whom could use, even if they're not going to be regular contributors. And I know that's what Adam's saying. Like, these guys aren't exactly going to come up here and start hitting like 1, 2, 3 for any of these teams, obviously, but you know, you have teams that have holes in whatever fashion. And I think like even if you do get back the like relatively small prospects who maybe the ceiling is not the highest, right? Like, we're not talking about getting the Baltimore Orioles top prospect or the Dodgers best prospect for these guys. I mean, like, we saw tonight and we've seen for a large chunk of the season that there's not a lot left. Like Leonardo on the text line, or how long would you say the next rebuild will take? Prospects pretty depleted. The future is looking pretty bleak for me. I don't think it's like entirely bleak, but at the same time, I do think that with the farm system being what it is, with all of the most attractive prospects, save maybe 1 or 2 who are all effectively injured, already playing for the Blue Jays, then you got to restock it by literally any means necessary. I do agree with that 100%. Let's go to one more caller before we take the break. Nick in Toronto joining us here on Chase Talk. Nick, thanks for staying up late, man. What's up?
Hey, my pleasure. I stay up late every night. But
Sweet.
But listen, you were earlier making an analogy between this management team and 2015. And you said, they would have fired Alex Anthopoulos. But they were going to fire Alex Anthopoulos. That's why he went all in 2015. And that was after only 2.5 years of unmet expectations. And now we're in year 4 of unmet expectations. And it's getting worse. And there's no hope in sight. Anyway, I just don't think that analogy was great, but love your show and go Jays.
Hey,
it's worth.
Yeah, Nick, thanks for the call, man. I didn't mean to say. What I meant was if it was up to fans, right? Like, if fans were the ones making the decision-making process, guys like Alex, like not up to Rogers, but if fans were the ones pulling the trigger, you'd never see progress made. That was the only point. It was just like a dumb one-off on Ryan's comment, because Ryan was like, "Oh, maybe we should see some democracy." Like, and I think what a lot of people envision is the Green Bay Packers is the team I was thinking of, right? The Packers in up there in the NFL. You know how they have like the shareholders, and we kind of like joke about it. Like, I know like Joe Bowen, for example, is a shareholder of the Packers, and like Keegan Matheson is a shareholder of the Packers. I'm pretty sure the Schulmans are shareholders of the Packers. I'm like reasonably sure. I should ask Ben. I'm pretty sure they are. I'm like 99% sure they are. But the point is, I think like people want that, but that doesn't actually, like, I mean, let's be honest, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. They're not the ones making the decisions, right? But it was just more than anything. It was just like, my only comment was that if you left the decision making process up to like people who are not baseball executives, then like, for the most part, you're probably never going to see sustained success, because at the drop of a hat, and I'm totally guilty of this. I'm certainly not blaming the fans by any means. Like, fan is short for fanatic. Like, you deserve to be excited about your team because you love the team. Like, we hear that based on the caller. So I'm by no means saying that fans are bad, but it just, I think if you were to leave it up to fans, you would see a lot more turnover, right? But to Nick's point, I mean, change does need to happen, right? I mean, they've gotten, again, to go back to the point we made off the top, the leash has been very long, and we have gotten collectively, fans, the media, casual eyeballs, people from outside the city, we have gotten to see nothing of consequence. And I said this last night, but I mean, yeah, like the pandemic from when the time the Jays signed Ryu to now, essentially, let's forget this season, to the end of 2023 season. Regardless of the results in the playoffs, in terms of regular season wins, it's like the third winningest stretch in the history of this franchise, which is like, when you say that, you're like, oh man, that's pretty cool. But if it results in nothing and a depleted farm system and apathy in the fan base, even if the stadium is really nice, and I actually do think it's nice, but I mean, does it really matter? Does any of that matter? No, I would say. The answer to that question is no. So I don't know, like, The season, I often am fond of saying the season is being balanced on a knife's edge. Not anymore, right? Like, no chance anymore. Like, the conversations we're having, even if they were to win tomorrow, even if tomorrow the result was completely flipped, or later today, I guess, because it's late, but even if for this last game before the All-Star break, if the Jays go and just absolutely annihilate the Arizona Diamondbacks to salvage this series and go into the All-Star break with a win, would that really change the long-term aspects of this franchise? Probably not, right? And those are the kinds of conversations we were having after Seattle and San Francisco, that those were fun. Like, you're certainly allowed to have fun when they win. Absolutely. But I mean, I'm not sure it should really change the long-term direction of this franchise. And I'm willing to bet you guys agree. I'm willing to bet most people, most Jays fans would agree, all things considered. 416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Those are the numbers to call. 590-590, name and location is the People's Text line. Those are the methods to get in touch with me. We're going to step aside, take a break, come back with more after this. You're listening to Jays Talk. Show Alley with you on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
This has been Major League Baseball play-by-play on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. Why do I love calling this game?
Calling this game.
Calling this game.
Calling this game.
Why do I love calling this game? It's because I get a chance to bring some joy into people's lives.
Anything can happen on a baseball field.
We've got a new game. It's perfectly unscripted theater.
Everybody on their feet.
Because you never know what you're going to see on a given day.
It is bedlam in the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
There's just something about baseball on the radio.
Something about the way wood hits leather.
A swing and a drive to deep left center. The way leather hits dirt.
And he made the play. Oh, my.
The way a deep fly ball sounds like it's about to change history.
High fly ball to center field. It's hit pretty well toward the wall.
Until the cleats hit the grass, hit the crushed brick, and then nothing but sky and a silent crowd.
That ball's high.
Until leather hits leather and 40,000 fans lose their collective minds.
In a perfect symphony of chaos.
He jumped up on top of the wall, balanced himself, and caught it.
The way nothing triumphs a perfectly honest call.
I don't believe what I just saw.
And the way the right voice can make a moment live forever.
Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Outsiders may think this is just two teams.
The ball, a bat, and a microphone. But no.
For over 100 years, this has been the soundtrack of the American pastime.
He struck it out looking. It's over. It's over. The Rangers have won the World Series.
The soundtrack of summer. This is Major League Baseball on the radio.
Right now on SiriusXM.
All rise.
Coming in 5.
Get ready to play.
4. Get up. Get up.
3.
Can you believe it?
Put your seatbelt on.
Wow. Talk about the game and all the stories on MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM 89, and the SiriusXM app.
Milwaukee Brewers take on the Washington Nationals. Brewers on Sirius 146, XM 185, and Internet 855. Nationals on Internet 869.
Get the latest news, opinion, and analysis from MMA to boxing and the professional wrestling world 24/7. SiriusXM Fight Nation, SiriusXM 156, and the SXM app.
After overcoming a lifetime of adversity, Willie Mays became one of the game's best, and at 93 years old, he passed on. Steve Phillips from MLB Network Radio on SiriusXM Channel 89 took some time to remember the Say Hey Kid.
Willie Mays, born in Westfield, Alabama, right near Birmingham, grew up in the Birmingham area. He played on the factory league teams and semi-pro clubs with his dad. Because his high school team did not have a baseball team. He went to Fairfield Industrial High School. He went to a factory high school, and he played football and basketball for them, but we didn't have baseball, so he'd play on the semi-pro teams with his father. And at 16 was playing, some professional baseball. He would play on the weekends, and then during the week go to school. Like, it really is an amazing story for him coming out of that area in Birmingham and what he did to turn himself into one of the best players in the game, and with zero bitterness. And, he was just the 10th black player in Major League Baseball. When I heard that, I knew that he signed in the early 50s. I didn't realize that he was that early on in the integration of the Negro League players getting into baseball.
Right.
And he was a young man at the time where he hadn't been in the Negro Leagues that long. So, you sort of look at him thinking the longevity and the length of his career was in Major League Baseball.
Mad Dog Sports Radio has the best sports talk in the business, covering sports with a passion and knowledge you need. Mad Dog Sports Radio, Sirius XM 86, and the SXM app.
I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your Sirius XM MLB schedule for Sunday, July the 14th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In Major League Baseball, 11:35 a.m., Baltimore Orioles take on the New York Yankees. Orioles on Sirius XM channels 89, Internet 842. Yankees on Internet 858. 1:35 p.m., Boston Red Sox take on the Kansas City Royals. Red Sox on Sirius 209, XM 176 and Internet 843. Royals on Internet 851. 1:35 p.m., Philadelphia Phillies take on the Oakland A's. Phillies on Sirius 210, XM 177 and Internet 860. A's on Internet 859. 1:40 p.m., New York Mets face the Colorado Rockies. Mets on Sirius 119, XM 180 and Internet 857. Rockies on Internet 848. 1:40 p.m., Tampa Bay Rays take on the Cleveland Guardians. Rays on Sirius 208, XM 175 and Internet 866. Guardians on Internet 847. 1:40 p.m., Cincinnati Reds take on the Miami Marlins. Reds on Sirius 211, XM 178 and Internet 846. Marlins on Internet 854. 1:40 p.m., Detroit Tigers take on the LA Dodgers. Tigers on Sirius 121, XM 179 and Internet 849. Dodgers on Internet 853. Spanish Feet on Internet 870. 2:10 p.m., Chicago White Sox take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. White Sox on Sirius 161, XM 182 and Internet 845. Pirates on Internet 861. 2:10 p.m., Milwaukee Brewers take on the Washington Nationals. Brewers